What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 2 of C4S Villains. I am your host, JB, and I am here with my co host, the legendary Vash. And this is the show where we talk about everything in the world of Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and whatever else we want to talk about. On today's show, we're going to be talking about WandaVision episode 3. And of course, you saw by the thumbnail, we are going to be talking about the worst, most underwhelming comic book movie and TV show adaptations of all time. Now, we're not going to go through every single movie on that list, but we will be talking about the ones that we despise the most. Vash, thank you so much for being here, and I'm so excited for episode 2.
It is great to be here for every single week from now on, and to do this episode when episode 1 was just last Monday. It's just excited. Just hey man, tomorrow's episode, and we're here today's episode 2. So just excited to just feel this great time to talk about comic books movies in this great drought that happened in 2020. Now we're here to talk about all the news that's coming now in movies. And sadly, we're on this topic because it was my fault to watch Fantastic Four and then gave James this idea. Like, you know what? Let's talk about all the trash in the past 30 years of comic book movies and TV show adaptation. I'm like, yay me, great. Anytime to help you out with ideas.
It was so funny. Like, Ash put a screenshot of Fant Four Stick in our group chat. I was like, perfect. This is the best idea. Let's
You're
talk
welcome. Anytime.
book movies for episode 2. So, yes, thank you for giving us this topic. And yes, it is going to be fun. Much like the first episode, we're going to go right off the top and just talk about what we've been consuming since episode 1. I haven't really been watching that many things in between. I've still been watching Batman Beyond. And then, of course, I was watching some shitty comic book movies for us to talk about here. But have you been binging anything like outside of anime, of course?
Happily to continue more Batman Beyond. I continued season 2, so I was very happy to finally do that. Like, I got to probably 2-3 episodes since season 2 much longer. I think season 2 is like 20 plus episodes, and I actually took the time to actually finish Batwoman. But Batwoman season 2 episode 1, but me and James will talk about that more next week once he gets the time to actually find the time to finish that. But that episode, I just so many thoughts on that is where I'm like so mixed, and I can't wait to hear James thoughts about it as well. But comic book wise, I watched Fantastic Four like I spoke with James, but I'll give more thoughts more about that later. Since worst movie, like, it's not like I have regrets of watching it, but like, I sat through it because, like, hey, I'm a big comic book fan. I love the Fantastic Four. I grew up with the cartoons and I read some of the comics when I was little. So I need to see how bad was it, since I know everybody said how bad it was. But I need to see it for myself. Did I really need to see it for myself? I could have just stayed with other opinions. Like, hey, you guys, I trust your opinions, but I did it, and I helped James with this topic, so I'm here. But other than that, I have not watched anything more comic book lately.
Yeah. I haven't watched anything else other than, like I said before, really terrible comic book movies for this episode. But there were just a few news topics because
Yes.
the second main topic of the show, we're going to spend most of the time on that. So wanted to get through the news, talk about WandaVision, and then get into the meat of this episode. So first thing up on the news, Vash brought this up. He wanted to talk about the first official trailer for Superman and Lois, right? I saw the trailer. I saw the twins. I'm like, they look nothing alike, but sure, they can
They
be.
don't look nothing alike at all.
But I mean, the trailer doesn't give me much in terms of hope for this show. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on it. I just don't have hope, and I just don't care.
The one thing that comment that I laughed, but I feel like that's not very Clark Kent or Superman like, is when he said that I wish I could get drunk at times like this. That line was cool to hear, but it works in this time of day and age when you have a stressful day and everything, where you could just drink or do other stuff. But that's not Clark Kent. That's not Superman. If when he's stressed, what he does, go flies and goes to space and just look at the stars. That's what he has done also in the comics. When he has stressful days again to fight the big guys, or pause when he has problems with Lois, he goes to space or he goes be a hero. He doesn't talk about, hey, I'm gonna go, I wish I could get drunk. I'm like, that does not sound like Clark. That did not work for me.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't bug me because I mean, he is an adult. Like, sometimes you just need to get out of your own head. And being someone like Superman who literally can't get drunk, I would envy that if I couldn't get drunk. So that doesn't bother me that much. I just wish the first trailer gave us a little bit more insight into the show,
I
because
agree.
I feel like it's super vague. Yes, I know it's a first trailer, but this show also premieres next month, like literally a month from now. So I just wish we got a little bit more, because I'm not that interested, and I feel like I needed more from the trailer to get me invested.
I agree because it felt like very random because a lot of the cuts were spliced, but the story beats did not really try to connect where we could have an idea of what the story's about. It's literally of these twins after Crisis. From the last time we know, before Crisis, he just had one baby and it was just born. Now he has two twins and they're already just almost probably 18, 16, and his kids don't know that he's actually Superman. And his kids were like, "Wait, you're not Superman. We have met Superman." I'm like, so all these years you just a lie. So it's just very different from what we know as Clark Kent in the comics. When he has Jonathan Kent, he has told his son like, "Hey, I'm Superman. In case you see me flying out there, I'm a hero out there. I'm also indestructible, and you are too." So stuff like this, those type of moments where it kind of threw me like, where we understand, like Jim said last week about Green Arrow in the show, they've turned Arrow into like Batman, but just a TV show because they cannot use him because of the movies. So one, I'm curious to know how is this show gonna be like Superman Lois, but not Superman Lois like. So I'm curious to see how make it different. They're gonna make it.
Yeah, like I don't have a big issue with like him not telling them that he's Superman, because he just wanted to live this normal life and just raise his kids on the farm and everything. My issue is like what you brought up, which is the fact that they don't even recognize him as Superman. I feel like we're in a day and age where that should be forgotten. I think it's really dumb that a change in hairstyle and some glasses completely changes the way that someone looks. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Like if you let your hair down and you took off your glasses, I would still know that that's Vash. Like it's so stupid.
Unless
And
unless you look from the back, I'll be like, wait, is that a girl because of my long hair? I'll be like, wait, maybe that's not Clark Kent. He got longer hair now.
and I hate it when it do it on Supergirl too. I'm like, it's Kara. Like she looks the same, except she doesn't have her hair in a ponytail and she's not wearing glasses. Like I don't get it.
Like it would be different if they have like a face tattoo and then after that, they take it off or something, but they all they do is just glasses or like shades would be different, or act like you're blind. But this, like, that was a trope, that was a comedy that's been there since the 70s or 60s, but to have it in this type of age, see it on screen in a comic book adaptation as a movie or TV is very hard to feel like it's real. I'm like, wait, I have met, like, there's friends of mine that have seen me on the street and they say, "Oh, Miguel, I haven't seen you in 4 or 5 years. You have changed, but you still look the same." Like it's believable. When you see Clark going from Clark to Superman, they almost look those look like twins. Just
Yeah, I
glasses
mean
different.
he doesn't even change his hair, honestly. Like he
He
doesn't
don't.
even change his hair. He just changes clothes and glasses. But anyways, I digress. I
Yes.
will watch the first two episodes. More than likely, Vash and I will watch it together on Discord or
Yeah.
something, and we'll see the show. Like I will judge it and see if it's good. Like random, but not really. I thought the last Power Rangers movie was gonna suck.
I
I
enjoyed it.
shat on that movie constantly until I saw it in theaters. But I went opening night, and I really, really enjoyed it. It sucks it's not getting any more sequels, and they're gonna reboot the whole thing, and that's a whole nother story. But like, I know how I feel right now, and it doesn't look good to me. But if it's good, I will be here on that episode of Villains, and I will sing its praises if it's good.
Yes, and I do agree with James that said this past Monday, uh, he has a lot more muscle pads. Cause when he was in space, you saw that chest turning around. I'm like, wait a minute, Tyler Heck, I've met you and everything. There's no way you went from that skinny dude to like some type of like the whole type of Zac Efron or like the Rock type of build. Like there's no way you just went from skinny to a built dude. Like if it's possible, if you actually look like that without the suit, I give praise because he looks more bulky.
Yeah, it throws me off because he looks weird. Like I feel like he looks like Zachary Levi in Shazam. Like you can tell it's muscle pads. Like it doesn't actually look like those are actually his muscles. Even
But
with the Shazam kids too, like it looked really weird, and I don't like it.
We just have to see how it looks in full context and the characters.
Right.
Because also the one that's confused, who's the villain? I was confused when we saw the kryptonite, like cool kryptonite, and then we saw some type of Zod type of soldiers, and then the one guy from the army or probably some type of soldier. He said you cannot hide from this too long. I'm like, is the army gonna be the bad guys again? So I was confused, like who's the bad guys in this one? Is it aliens or is it the government?
Yeah. And don't you love that there's just always more kryptonite? Because in Supergirl and Batwoman, they say that that small sliver that Batwoman
Is the
has
last
is the
one.
only one that's left. But there's always more kryptonite somewhere. It's hilarious.
They're like, how do you find kryptonite? Like, is there any type of more space rocks falling off the sky that we don't know about?
Who knows? I mean, it is actually possible. Because, I mean, when you think of the fact that Kara and Cal were sent to Earth at the exact same time, but he gets there like years earlier, like 20, 30 years earlier than her. It is possible, I guess, if some fragments went through like some type of wormhole and then they only ended up coming to Earth like 30, 40 years later. Like, I guess it's definitely possible. But I just find it funny that there's always more kryptonite. Just magically, there's just always more kryptonite.
It's just a run-on type of story plot that they have to use just in case Superman, Kara gets too strong. That's how I feel like when I see it in these type of shows. Comic books, they handle it better because they say, hey, I made a deal with some type of alien, but then they became bad, so I had to kill them, but I stole more kryptonite from them. But then where do they find the kryptonite when that planet is destroyed itself?
Yeah, I don't know, man. But like I said, I will definitely give it its due. We will watch the 2-hour premiere, and I will come on Villains, and I will tell you guys exactly how I feel. If it's good, I'll say it's good. If it sucks, I'll say it sucks. Because I am not a fan of Supergirl, and we will be getting into that into the second half of the show. The next news topic that I wanted to talk about was comicbook.com reported that there is a potential Batman the Animated Series sequel happening on HBO Max. Now, for those of you that don't know, there is a sequel series comic that's running right now that's a sequel to Batman the Animated Series, and it's really, really good. Like, if you have like iOS, check it out in iBooks. Each chapter, I mean each comic is like 99 cents. So they're really cheap for you to get. There's a really good read. The art's really, really good. And it takes you back to Batman the Animated Series. So if they're going to make a sequel series, I hope it's true, and I would be really down for it. Like, Vash, what do you think?
One, when James told us in the group chat, like, there is a sequel series comics, so I'm like, wow, I did not know that. And they did the same thing with Smallville. Instead of having a season 10, they did a season 11 in the comics. I'm like, oh, cool. But to see that story possible come from the comics or have more story of the Batman with the whole series, and also on HBO Max with Warner Brothers and Slash with DC, they're doing more money on their service, but smart, because they know people are gonna come and watch this, and also involves a lot of nostalgia, where us people that grew up with it and people that are much older, but also it gives a new type of audience for kids to also watch the whole series itself. So I'm excited. Yeah. That's dope.
Yeah, I really like the idea. I love the concept of it, because when you look at like the pilot episode for Batman Beyond, the first thing you see is an older Batman. I guess he was in like his 50s, late 50s, early 60s. And I would love to see Bruce's years after we left him from Batman the Animated Series, at least up to like close to that point where he was about to retire. I feel like that would be really cool to see Bruce kicking ass even in his 40s, even in his 50s. I think that would be really cool.
And I wonder if they're gonna keep the same style of the whole cartoon. Like, are they gonna keep the same style or improve or change up to how Young Justice is now with their style? Some kids are they gonna keep the same style as how it was made 20 plus years ago, or to how Young Justice is being made now?
Yeah, I hope they just remaster the same style just to keep it consistent, because when you look at the comic art style is exactly the same as the animated series. So I think they should do that. I wouldn't be upset if it's in like the Young Justice style, being honest, but I would prefer the original art style just remastered for
And,
today.
and plus, imagine Mark Hamill coming back. Uh,
He would definitely do it.
It's just to hear him as a Joker. Oh, that would be amazing just to hear again, like once again. Oh, it's been too many years since it, because he did his role again in one of the movies I think a couple of years ago as well. So just to hear him come back for probably 2 more seasons, a good 24 episodes, that'd be perfect to hear.
Yeah, it doesn't even, yeah, like you just said, like it doesn't even need to be a bunch of seasons, like two,
Yeah,
3 seasons of just the continued adventures of Batman from that series. That would be awesome. Pedro, I would love to see a Red Hood like arc in the animated series. I think that would be dope
yeah,
because I mean, I love the Red Hood movie, but I would love to see a series of Red Hood versus Batman. I think that would be amazing.
yeah, and plus to see the actual fall, not fall, but to see the trouble that Todd got in trouble with the Joker, and then see his fall as the Red Hood. Imagine see also Red Hood and plus the Outlaws. Imagine to see
Mhm.
that story as well. It's just all those years of comics that has been now 20 years later. They could actually do this with this series and to add more to with Tim Drake as well, and maybe add Damian Wayne.
I think that would be dope because I love Damien.
Same here.
Yeah, Chris, I am only 6 issues in. So if they have already done Red Hood, that would be dope, and I need to pick it back up like right now so I can find out.
Hmm.
But I am very excited if this is true. Comicbook.com did report this as a rumor. They did have multiple sources that said that this would be a thing, but there's nothing concrete. I didn't see anything from like the major sources or anything, but I wanted to talk about it because it would be amazing to have that happen. Um, Next thing that I wanted to talk about was on Star Wars StarWarsNewsNet.com, Pedro Pascal did an interview talking about the future of the Mandalorian and the future of the spin-offs and the potential of them exploring different time periods. I think this is really, really cool because I just assumed from the Mandalorian that the Ahsoka series would just pick up where we left off from her in the Mandalorian. That may not be true. It could be right after her last fight with Vader in Rebels. We don't know. So he's teasing that these shows could take place in different timelines. Much like the Book of Boba Fett, there is the potential that that show could take place a little bit before the events of the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, and then future seasons will pick up where it ended in Mandalorian season 2. So it's really, really cool that they're not only expanding the universe with all of these different characters, but also filling in the gaps in different time periods. So what do you think about that, Vash?
I'm excited for that because Star Wars, they have said it long time ago. They have many years to explore, and they need to stop trying to focus into Skywalkers. That we don't mind seeing other characters, other Obi-Wans, other Yodas. We don't mind seeing other characters that we have grew up and learn about. And we also know about Yoda. Said that there was one more about the Old Republic. There's a whole type of different order before them back then, and there were games and stories that was old canon before that just was scrapped before because of the whole Disney deal. But now they're exploring it for that, and I'm very happy to hear it because also if you guys have seen the show about Star Wars Rebels, our girl Ahsoka met with Sabine as well, and they were looking for Thrawn and our boy Ezra. They could also continue that story because who did that story? Dave Filoni. So he might also try to do that story in the live action aspect as well. So that also could connect with the Thrawn story. So it's possible.
There's so much, and we did like a fan casting for Thrawn on episode 1. That was really, really cool. Like I still think Michael Fassbender would be an amazing Thrawn. Like if Ben Mendelsohn wasn't already in Star Wars, I think he would be amazing as Thrawn, but it is what it is. But I would love to see that. Another potential series that I'm super excited for in the realm of Star Wars is a Bo-Katan series. Like I would love to see Bo-Katan trying to liberate Mandalore, trying to rebuild Mandalore in the way it's supposed to. And I would love to see Din Djarin against Bo-Katan. Like, do you think that fight, spoils for Mandalorian season 2, by the way?
Yeah,
but
I feel like, hey guys, spoilers, because I'm too hyped now to talk about it.
But do you think that we'll see that fight between the two of them in like Mandalorian season 3,
Yeah,
or do you
100%.
still save
That
that for the Bo-Katan series if it happens?
that has to be the next story because what's his next story right now? Because he technically has a black saber. What can he do? He technically is the next ruler the of the whole planet. So what
Yeah.
can he do? And she's the one that wants to be the ruler. So what she has to do, like, yeah, she does respect him. He did help her out in this mission, but he got tricked, and now he's the one that's the ruler. But it makes it curious to know with Sabine, when she gave the black saber to her, there was no fight. So I'm
Mhm.
curious to know, was that retcon just because of the whole live action, or is it different when it becomes to like a student to master type of scenario? So I'm curious to know where's that gonna go.
That's a good point, dude, because the saber has to be passed in combat. So that is a very, very good point.
And plus, you don't even have to kill him. You just have to win in combat. So if you just
Mhm.
beat him, alright, cool. You just become the next person, but you don't have to kill Jin Mari. So if you be, if our girl Bo-Katan should beat him in combat, alright, she becomes the next ruler, and then he could go do other type of missions until our little baby Yoda comes back.
Yeah, I don't think Mando is interested in ruling Mandalore. Like he just wants to follow in the ways of Mandalore. But that fight is going to be interesting because I don't think he's just going to let her win either, too. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see.
But also he has a like experience with the spear because that was he was trained to. So I'm also curious to know, like, does he have a changing heart where, you know what is my purpose? Because the person that gave him the shield with those symbols said that now you're a family of two. So does he have
Mhm.
a new purpose now without the baby Yoda? Does he have a purpose now? Like, maybe I should rule a place and maybe I could guide others. So maybe his mindset is gonna change. Like, hey, how about you and me work together? So who knows where his character is gonna go as well.
Yeah, I would love to see that fight. I want Bo-Katan to win. I want
Oh
her
yeah,
to
same here.
rule Mandalore. But I would love to see them work together to rebuild because the Mandalorians are scattered all across the galaxy. Like
Yep.
we are in the early stages of the First Order. So it's like they still have to be in hiding. So it'll be fun to watch them gather up all of these Mandalorians to truly liberate Mandalore. And I would love to see the Mandalorians against the First Order. That would be dope. Like there's so much potential for Star Wars, and like the Mandalorian has only proved that Star Wars belongs as a serialized thing. Like 90 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours is not enough to tell a story. And I honestly think that's why the sequel trilogy failed. There just wasn't enough time to tell a cohesive story, especially the Rise of Skywalker, right? Like they just bring in a bunch of different stuff, they just throw it in. Like all of a sudden, Rey is struggling with the dark side even more than ever. All of a sudden, there's these different crystals that you need to find this secret planet. It's like, where did all of this shit come from? And yes, sure, you can say that all of this information is in a book somewhere, but you can't make these films and all of these different things expecting people to read all of the comics and all of the books. I think that's ignorant. It's really stupid.
That's
And
exactly 100%. Because me myself,
yes,
I don't read the books even. I just read comics, like because I like to see art with it. But books, I rather hear it. But I don't have time to do that all the time. So I agree with James 100%. Like it's hard to try to convince everyone to read a book or to read the comics when they don't have like all they have time is just to watch a 2 hour film and they just want to know that story and move on.
I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't
That's
have
a
to read a book just to figure out what this character is about. You know what I mean? Like the best things that Poe Dameron has ever done is all in a book somewhere or in a comic.
is in the comics, like where it shows that in the movies they say, "Oh, he is the best pilot fighter and everything," but you don't see any great moments that you could think of the top of your head in the movie. But in the comics, I could give you 2 moments, and that's
I
sad.
mean, I can think of two from the movies, but there's so much more from the comics, right?
Yes, there's.
Like there's so much more that he does. Captain Phasma
Oh, that's a
can
disappointment.
fight dozens of soldiers on her own, and then she gets beaten by a fucking janitor. Are you kidding me? She gets beaten by a janitor, It doesn't make any sense. I fucking hate those movies so much. And they're just rushed. They feel so rushed. And again, Mandalorian has proved this is the way. Like, make these series. This is the way that Star Wars should be made.
I agree 100% because I've enjoyed Rebels more, Star Wars Clone Wars, and I've enjoyed Mando because it's great 8 episodes each season, and not each episode is 27 minutes, 34 minutes. They know where to cut it off. They know not to have it longer or shorter just to cut off story. They know what is the perfect length just to tell a nice cohesive story and to be entertained for the audience as well. And that's how you tell a story.
Yeah. Mercenary, I need an entire show just to talk about Thrawn boss moments, dude. Like,
Yeah, that's hard because there was a lot of moments in Rebels and everything, in the comics, in the books as well. I haven't read the books, so like there's probably much better moments that we don't even know yet.
yeah, there's so much great stuff in the Thrawn books. Like, I would have to reread those and look at some other stuff to give you a full list. But that would be a great topic for a future villains episode, just to talk about some amazing Thrawn moments. So thank you for throwing that in. Last news topic that I wanted to talk about, and Vash brought this to my attention. Invincible is going to be released on March 26, 2021. This is the series that was created by Robert Kirkman, who created The Walking Dead, and it has some amazing voice actors. Stephen Ewan, that you would know from The Walking Dead, J.K. Simmons, Mark Hamill, Zazie Beetz, Seth Rogen, Ezra Miller. There's so many. Mahershala Ali as well is going to be doing voices for Invincible. So I think Robert Kirkman is a really good writer. So I'm not that familiar with Invincible, if I'm being perfectly honest, but I know the guy's an amazing writer, and anything he puts his time into, I will definitely check it out. And yeah, I'm actually really excited for this. So what do you think, Vash?
Me myself, I have seen a couple of pictures from the comics, and it's bloody, it's wild. The stuff that have been spoiled about within a couple of months after they announced, a lot of people started to read it. I know Ray also is a big fan of the series. He told us to read it. So I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, I'll read it one day. And then once I saw that's coming out, March, like, you know what? I could just watch the show and read it at the same time to compare and contrast. But I heard so many great things about this book. I think there's like 21 volumes of the books itself, and I think like 127 chapters or so. But I heard many great things about it. Just sadly, I just never had the chance to read it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Robert Kirkman's a great writer, and he does not hold back when it comes to gore and stuff. So, very excited for the series. Very excited for March 26th to check it out. And like you said, like we do for anime and manga all the time. Like, I'll watch it and read it at the same time. Who knows? I might read the whole thing after I see the first episode, because I tend to do that.
But I'm very happy how they're gonna drop 3 episodes on the 21st. I mean, on the 26th, and after that, 1 episode each week, which is amazing for that, because that gives us as fans and plus the audience a good, okay, 3 episodes. Should we continue or not continue? So that gives a good audience time probably to try to decide, should I put my time on this each week?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm very excited for it. The voice cast is absolutely insane. I forgot to mention Clancy Brown is also doing a voice. He has been the voice of Lex Luthor in my head ever since I was a kid. I love Clancy Brown. Like, he is one of the GOATs in voice acting. So very excited for this series. And I would love to get into our WandaVision episode 3 review. Episode 3 is my favorite episode of the 3 so far. The references in this, everything that happens, like the dialogue is so deliberate. The score is so deliberate. Like, I absolutely love this episode. Vash, I'm going to let you go first.
This was my favorite episode. Episode 3 was just what it is. Like, Wonder Powers, if people have not read their comics, they're crazy, they're wonky, and they explore very well. Like, if you guys have any comics or anything like that, when a person that is pregnant, when they have powers, the powers are less to control because they're pregnant, and plus the hormones, everything else gets wonky. And they played that correct with how Wanda got pregnant out of the blue. She went from 4 months to 6 months to 9 months. Hey, you know what? Let's get pregnant. The same date that the whole doctor just came by to see. And it was hilarious of how every time she went around the whole kitchen, she just with jackets. And she's like, you know what? I like this fur coat. It's pretty nice and stylish. And that's how it was a trend back then. Back then in the 1970s, this is what episode 3 was about. And back then in the 70s, those type of coats was the trend. So I love how they also keep that note on there as well. And I like how in this episode the nice metaphor or something about the symbolism, how the guy, it was a neighbor, he kept trying to break the fence, but also that was showing that they're trying to break in. That was, I love that, like, hey, trying to break the fence, but that's because showing that sword, trying to make it like a sword shape, but also showing that people are trying to get into the town itself. I love that.
Yeah, it was amazing, dude. And like Pedro just brought up in chat, one of my favorite things from this episode was the acting from Elizabeth Olsen. The way she's able, like you just said, to go from being super nice and laughing to switching up to crying and being so scary. Like the moment that Monica Rambeau mentions Pietro, which I'm so glad that they name drop, by the way, she instantly flips and is like, "What did you say?" I loved it. Like her acting was incredible in this episode.
The most funniest is when she actually gave birth. She like, "Oh, I'm good," and then start scream, and then she like, "I'm good," and then scream, and then I'm good. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, this is great acting, because for you to switch that personality, for go from being serious to screaming and then being serious, like that is a lot of control in your face emotions. Like that is a lot of work mentally, but it's really well. And also, I did not notice the whole sword necklace until Wanda brought it up.
Oh, really?
I did not notice it until she brought, like, "Oh shit, you right, that is a sword necklace." And when I found out that's been there since episode 2 with the sword necklace, and then I noticed, I'm like, wow, I should keep more note on the dressing as well, I guess.
Yeah, after we saw episode 1 and 2, I was like, all right, I have to pay attention to literally everything. Single word, every single thing that they show up. Mercenary brings up an amazing point. The Hydra soap, bro, is a huge Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reference to where Hydra was trying to brainwash people using soap and other products. There's so many amazing Easter eggs in here. I love it. Like Vash brought up earlier, when she was having contractions, everyone in the town, all of their pipes were bursting when her water broke. When she was having contractions, everyone lost their power intermittently. She couldn't control her powers during her contraction, so her clothes were changing. Vision was changing. Like, it's so cool. You can see other people starting to break out of the fake reality that she's created. It's so good.
My most funniest moment throughout episode 3, I think it's because, you know, us guys is the most funniest thing, where the wife came in and asked, "Hey, does this dress make me look fat?" And then right there is when the light turned. Oh yeah, the earring was.
I was like,
oh yeah, the
what?
earring. That's what bothered me, because one is when she said earring, I'm like, most people ask dress or shirt, so that's what I thought should have been.
It's meant to be a terrible 70s TV show joke. You know what I mean?
But it was funny because, and then after that, when the lights got dark, is when he said, "Oh, thank God." Whew. It's like he didn't want to answer because he didn't know what was the right answer. Picking on how guys always get asked that question. It's like, damn it, like, should I say no? But then does that mean everything? So I just love that line, even though it was corny, but it just worked because a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, and like you said, Chris, like the name drops. We finally have the name drop. Pietro Maximoff. We have Wanda, and Wanda calling Vision a synthezoid. Like, that's straight out of the comics. Like, the writing is incredible for this show. I love the back and forth between Wanda and Vision about the different names for the kids, like whether it should be Tommy or Billy, which is the name of their twins in the comics. So that was a great thing. I was talking to Mia, and I was like, I wonder if they're going to do the twins. Because I was like, they could just do one kid, but I was really hoping for the twins. So when she gave birth to the first child, I was like, well, her stomach is still really full. Yes, the stomach does still remain full for a while after you give birth. But I was like, let's wait to see if the twin comes out and we get both. We get Tommy and Billy, Wiccan and Speed, which I love, and I hate that their powers are exactly the same as Wanda and Pietro. Like, it makes sense because that's the way, like, mutant powers work sometime, or, like, if we're talking, like, anime, like, that's how quirks can work sometimes.
Yeah, you know, genes and everything, yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of wish their powers were just a little bit different. Now, Wiccan does have a little bit more abilities than Wanda. Like, he has, like, electrokinesis and, like, a couple of other powers that Wanda doesn't have. but their powers are virtually the same. So this is a huge setup for Young Avengers. So chat, I would love to know if you guys would love to see a Young Avengers series. Do you think that this is like set up for a series or for a movie with the Young Avengers? I can't wait because we're getting Ironheart too. So there's so much potential for Young Avengers.
So about the twins, I already got not I guess not spoiled because I saw it from the many promos that they posted out throughout the year. So I saw the whole promo of them having twins. But what I wonder after this, like, are those twins real in the real world, or are those twins set in the reality of hers, making it seem like it's real? That's what I'm curious to know.
So I think they're real. And I say that because when Monica is pushed out of the fake reality, she's still in all of her clothes, and it looks like she doesn't even remember or knows where she is. So I think the things that Wanda manifests actually come true. Now, I can also contradict that and say, well, does that mean that that's how she brings back Vision? Like, does
Because
she herself recreate Vision and that's how he comes back? But if that's the case, what's the point of Shuri like rebuilding his mind in Infinity War? So there's a lot of questions.
yeah, because we did talk about that last week, and that's the thing that I'm trying to figure out, like, how are we gonna connect and bring back Vision itself? Because it's curious to know, like, is he gonna bring back, because we know Wanda's powers is strong, as powerful to bring and break reality, so she could technically bring back Vision without needing the help from Shuri. But that's what we're curious to, like, how well in depth, in dive, are we gonna jump into her powers? Because technically, she could just bring back Vision within the next couple episodes, and he actually becomes a real boy, or technically a real man. So it's like, I'm curious to know how is that gonna happen within the next couple episodes.
Yeah, man. Like, there's so much potential for this show. And Pedro brought up, like, I love the transition at the end. And if you have 5.1 at home, like, it's an even greater experience because as the aspect ratio switches from
Yes,
4
it
by
did.
3 to 16 by 9, it also switches from stereo to 5.1. So that absolutely blew my mind that we're now moving into this new era at the end of each episode, man. Like, I can't wait. Like Chris is saying, Patriot was rumored for Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it isn't confirmed yet. But I think it's going to happen, and I think it's going to be dope.
So we also spoke before we started the show, saying that the people in the town know what's going on as well with Wanda, because they were talking within themselves, and our Vision was like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And they say this girl, she's from not out of town, and she has no home, she has no family. We don't know where she is from. So they're like, and the Vision's starting to understand what's going on, but he cannot put too much thought into, because I don't know if he knows that he's not real, or maybe he is already real, but he's playing with his mind. Like, we don't even know the questions yet.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that part up because that was something that I wanted to talk about too. Like, I feel like that was so cool because you can see, because of her being pregnant and her emotions being all over the place, that's why people were starting to see through the illusion.
Yes.
And the moment that Vision started to, you can see the look on her face when she gets really sad, and she rewinds time
Yes, she
to
did. Yeah, you're right.
change Vision's perspective on the kids because he was starting to question, how can you give birth to twins? How can you get pregnant first off and then give birth to twins 24 hours later? So it's like
Yeah,
there's
you're
so
right.
many cool things that is coming out of WandaVision, man. And 9 episodes. Like, there's so much cool stuff that they can do. I love the sword references. I love that sword is really being brought into the MCU in this way because the moment that Shield was destroyed, I was like, oh, the most obvious point now is to do sword.
That was the most obvious into, like, in the comics, right after Shield is destroyed was the next thing, Sword. So, like, it's just obvious that you cannot go anywhere else. So I'm curious to know how, like, are we gonna see other characters from Shield being connected into Sword? That's what I'm
I
also
think
curious
so.
to know.
I definitely think we'll see Maria Hill for sure as like one of the head sword agents. And like Rob brought up, like the rewind was really, really cool. And I like the way it was done in a 70s edit, right? Like when the stork, the Stark shows up, like it's a metaphor for how kids are made, right? Like there's a story that the Stark brings you these kids. So I love that metaphor of the kids being brought into this world. And I love the effects because the effect is a quick cut, right?
Yeah,
If this show was taking place today, it would be a much different transition, right? It would be
much more
something a lot
smoother.
cooler, yeah,
Yeah,
smoother with more effects. And because it's meant to mimic the 70s, it's just a quick jump cut. And
correct.
if you
Yep.
look away, you'll completely miss it. So there's so much love and care going into WandaVision. And I love it, man. Like you can tell that Kevin Feige really cares about the MCU. He can look at the criticisms that fans have given because I have issues with the way that Wanda and Pietro were introduced, right? And
Hell
I'll
yeah.
talk about this when we get into like terrible and underwhelming movies. But I hate the accent. I hate the stupid accent that they have in Age of Ultron. I hate the fact that Pietro died so easily. What is the point of being a speedster if you can't dodge bullets? It's the dumbest thing ever. So, question for you, Vash, and question for chat: do you think that Wanda will bring Pietro back in WandaVision
I
because she
think
brought back Vision, so why not bring back
I
Pietro?
think and I hope because he was so underused and underwhelmed as a character. He has more story to tell, and it doesn't make sense how he died. Like he's technically fast. He's not fast as Barry or Wally, but he's Quicksilver. And for him to get shot just by a couple of arrows and bullets, like that didn't make sense. So it's like I hope somehow he brings him back. We haven't heard enough of rumors, but people know how MCU and Star Wars, they're kind of good at keeping secrets. So
Mhm.
it's possible where we find a next week episode. There's a rumor for to see part of the page. I'm like, okay, that's kind of confirms it. But stuff like that might pop up. It's not that shocking because Wanda misses her brother. It just got brought up, and then maybe next week episode she'll be like, wait, maybe I should bring him back, and then boom, he comes back.
Yeah. So to Chris's point, yes, I do actually think that Ralph is Mephisto. I actually do think that, and I can't wait to see because there's so many different references that you can break down. But I do think that he is definitely Mephisto. Rob, there has been rumors that Evan Peters could be the Quicksilver replacement in WandaVision or in the MCU going forward, but I don't think that's fair. I think that wouldn't be doing justice to Aaron Taylor Johnson. I feel like they did him really dirty,
Yep.
and I feel like in order to fix it, they need to bring him back and make him even more powerful than he was in Age of Ultron. Because something else that pisses me off, it's like Age of Ultron comes out after Days of Future Past. So Marvel Studios sees how amazing Pietro is in Days of Future Past, and then they make this super lame version of Pietro for Age of Ultron. So that really, really pissed me off. So I can see why fans want Evan Peters, but I don't think it would be fair.
I
Like, what
100%
do you think,
agree.
Ash?
I would like just either or. If we have the one from Fox, I would like that one because he was more funny, was well done and everything.
Yeah, but
But
you can just retcon that with Aaron Taylor Johnson. Just retcon his character, like his character arc in Age of Ultron, and just make him different. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
no one would care. Thor is different in Ragnarok than Thor: The Dark World and the
hundred
first
percent.
Thor movie.
He did a
So
180.
why can't you do the same thing with Aaron Taylor Johnson?
It's possible, and I think what Merck said about the super speed, that also what I think was homage
Yeah.
to the speed of Quicksilver, because Vision could have just flew. He did not need to do the super speed because he could have flew and also just gone through the wall because he could just be transparent. So I'm like, is this supposed to be an homage to the super speed of Quicksilver? And then once they said, "Oh, my brother Pietro," I'm like, yeah, that's probably a nod to Quicksilver and everything speed because it kind of makes sense when you have this episode talk about twins, talk about the brother, and have super speed. Is where me and James are thinking like he might just come back then.
I really hope so, man, because it's really not fair what they did to Pietro in Age of Ultron. It's not fair. He's this great character, and I feel like him and Wanda together would be great, and it's just a huge missed opportunity.
And if he does come back, I hope he doesn't use the accent again. Like, I'm like, just drop the accent as well.
Yeah, man. Like I don't know
Like,
why
just
they
don't.
even did it. Like the first time you heard it is like, all right, they sound like they're in like Transylvania in like a bad Dracula like 70s movie. So can we
Oh,
stop this
And plus, it was sweet to kind of see her sing for a good 1 minute
Yes,
tops.
the
That was
Sokovian
sweet.
lullaby. Like I love that. That was so cool.
Yeah, like that was beautiful. I'm like, I like this. This is nice to see. So I was very pleasant, and girl got a beautiful, smooth voice. Like I could just say, just just have her voice and go to sleep. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Man, this episode was really really cool. Like watching Monica Rambeau like slightly break through and mention that Pietro was killed by Ultron, like, and again, like just watching Elizabeth Olsen act her ass off in that scene, and then she just tossed her out of the reality. So it's like
She threw her, like
Wanda,
flew her.
yeah, Wanda is obviously conscious of this reality that she's created, but there's also a part of her that's locked it away so that she can just live in this fantasy world. And I love that. Like, I really hope that WandaVision inspires people to read the House of M storyline
Yes, they should.
because it is brilliant. Like Kevin Feige coming out like before Captain Marvel saying that Captain Marvel is the strongest Avenger. I always hated that because I mean, you have Scarlet Witch who can literally change reality.
And
How
warp
is
it.
she
Yeah,
the strongest? And then he retcons that in Endgame by saying that she's the strongest. I was like, okay, now we're back on track.
yeah. It makes them like Captain Marvel just got hit by cosmic power, but Wanda, she brings the cosmic power to change
Yeah,
warp in reality. So that's a huge difference.
she was literally about to mark Thanos. Like it was going to be over for him.
So to what James said, I really enjoyed this episode 3. Can't wait to see what episode 4 brings and what more wacky, crazy cameos, comic book type of reference just to bring a smile on my face and just see what else they do with the twins. Are they gonna have a growth? Are they gonna grow up? Are they gonna have actual actors come on for the whole Young Avengers within the next couple episodes? Who knows? Because I'm really curious to know what is it gonna bring in shape for the show itself.
Yeah, I think with giving her an accelerated pregnancy, I think it would make sense to have the kids, even if it takes until the end of episode 9 for them to become teenagers. I think that would be really cool.
I'm with that because next episode supposed to be 1980s. So, but if that's the case, the kid's supposed to be 10 years old. So I'm like, how's that supposed to connect? Like, are they
I
aging
mean,
up 10 years, or we just going technically? The theme is 1980s, but they're gonna just switch outfit and everything. But the kids are gonna be probably like 5 months old. So I'm curious, like, what is it that's gonna happen?
I don't know, man. I mean, she can alter reality to whatever she wants. And Chris brings up a great point. Like, dude, Carol was pulled in to Wanda's reality in the House of M storyline. So it's like, I don't know why Kevin Feige even bothered saying that Captain Marvel was the strongest. It's like, yeah, man, you have Wanda Maximoff, bro. Like, she can literally alter reality. And I love the MCU version of Wanda. Like, I love her in the comics, but her abilities kind of make more sense in the MCU because her powers were given to her by the universe itself, essentially. Like the Infinity Stones are made up of the elements of the universe.
Yeah,
So she is literally cosmic. So it would make sense that she would be able to bend reality to her will.
correct.
It's
And I'm
so
curious to
cool.
know how are we gonna connect with the grander scale of MCU because our boy Kevin Feige said that we're gonna go see mutants in the future. And what we know about Wanda and our boy Pietro, they're the kids of Magneto. So I'm curious to know how are they gonna connect about Magneto in the future? How are we gonna connect with that in the grander scale of the whole Doctor Strange in the world of Multiverse of Madness? How's that gonna connect? So I'm curious to know, is she gonna talk about her father? And is she gonna say about her father's name? And then is that gonna be played off in the future? Like those little small eggs is something that Kevin Feige likes to do and pay off in the future.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you bring up a really good point because their parents are dead in the MCU. So
That
it's
we
like,
know of.
well, I mean, we know that they're dead
Yeah,
because they saw them die. They talk about that in Age of Ultron. Like Pietro and
yeah.
Wanda had to watch their parents die. So we know that they're dead. So this is the thing. So in the House of M storyline, Wanda erases mutants from existence. So why wouldn't the MCU do the inverse of that and have her create mutants?
That would be an interesting way
I
to
think that
reverse
would
the
be
story.
sick. Because I mean, there's different ways that it could go too.
Yeah.
Because we're getting into the multiverse, and mutants could just exist in another different part of the multiverse, and then when they all get pulled together, say at the end of the Multiverse of Madness arc, then that's what brings the mutants into Earth 616. But it could be that Wanda just creates mutants, dude, because she is the only enhanced being on the planet. So she could be the very first mutant.
I like that
There's
because of
potential, bro.
what happened with the Infinity Stones could have unlocked her powers to go to full potential, and that could have explained why she could break in what reality. Because since the Infinity Stones don't exist no more, she became the Infinity Stone of reality. That would be insane.
Yeah, man. Like, there's so many different
That's a
ways
good theory, yo. That's a nice
that
one
this
right there.
could go. And I have another question. Like, does Monica Rambeau have her powers already? Like, as a sword agent? Like, does she have her powers, or is she just a normal person right now? And does she become a mutant if and when Wanda changes reality? Just so many possibilities, bro.
That one is hard. It depends which one they want to inverse, but I like where she gets her powers because of Wanda. I like that more. And
Yeah,
also,
I love Chris's theory in chat. What if Magneto gave up Pietro and Wanda to a foster family in Sokovia to keep them away?
that is what I was thinking when I said that, but I don't know if they ever mentioned to Wanda and Pietro if those were foster parents. But you know,
I
those
mean, no, because they didn't plan that far ahead.
yeah.
You know,
So,
like, as
but
all we know is that their parents are dead.
and maybe they could just retcon that in the future, saying that oh, those were actually your foster parents that gave you away. So that's possible.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Chris, I love that theory. Like, I would love for that to happen. It would be the easiest way to explain it because, I mean, you know Magneto, you
And that's
know
something he would
every
do.
yeah, because I mean Magneto has a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Like, so I
So
mean that's something he would do.
yeah, so that's possible. Like that is something he was done. And if he came to find her, he's like, "Hey, Wanda, I came to find you because the time is right. I have everything planned." So that's something where it could be a next lead up to some type of movie with the mutants and everything else. So I like the theory. It's possible within the whole world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's possible.
Yeah, the only problem with that is, does she give him his powers then? Because again, Wanda and Pietro are the only enhanced beings right now. So it's like no enhanced beings existed before them. So like, does she give Magneto his powers? Again, that's a whole like rabbit hole like theory that we can go down on a different episode, but that would be really really cool if that's what
Yes.
happens. Like, that would be the easiest way to bring Magneto and make him their father. That would be the easiest thing to do.
That is the easiest story to tell. So most likely it's possible. Most likely, 20, 100 episodes from now, we'll be like, remember on episode 2 when we had that theory? Guess what, guys? It happened.
Yeah. Mercenary, I would love to see Polaris.
Yes,
They mentioned Polaris in the Fox X-Men movies.
they did.
So I think that would be dope if they bring that into the MCU as well. Cuz I mean that would be cool too, right? What if they don't bring back Pietro, and what if they find a way to bring in Polaris so that Wanda can have her sister. You know what I mean? Or it could go so many different ways.
I don't mind Paradise. Whichever happens, but I just want to see her brother done right. Quicksilver
Yes.
actually be done right in the MCU. Like if you could just have him in one or a couple episodes or one movie where he actually has a good story arc and actually is written well, and then never use him again, okay, I'm fine with. But I just want him to at least have some type of justice.
Yeah. Man, I'm just really excited for episode 4. This was a really good episode. Like I said, I think this is the best out of the 3 so far.
Yes, yes.
And this is a great indicator that it's just going to get better and better episode by episode. I actually hope that episode 4 focuses a lot more on the outside with Sword and Monica Rambeau, because I mean she has to be interviewed at some point as to what happened inside
Correct.
of the reality. So I'm
So
very yeah.
that was gonna be my question to you actually. That you just brought up, that I feel like episode 4 is gonna be the first half is gonna be, hey, what happened inside? Tell us what's going on. How's Wanda? How's the people over there? How's your assignment? what's going on in that world. I think that's gonna be that topic, that first half of the whole episode, because we need to know what's going on with Sword. Where is also Randall Park? We need to know about his character as well.
Yeah, there's so much potential, man. We got 6 more episodes left. I'm very, very excited.
That is true. We have 9. Damn, 9 numbers.
Yeah, man. This series is going to be amazing. This only proves to me that Falcon and Winter Soldier is
Is
also going to
next.
be even better than I even anticipated, because we're gonna get Zemo back. There's gonna be so much deep cuts, dude. I can't wait.
And I just can't wait to see the nice fight between those two characters throughout the whole episode. It's that bro love right that's gonna be happening throughout the whole time.
Yeah. Like I just need everything that happened at the airport scene in Civil War just times 10 in Falcon and Winter
Yes, I
Soldier.
100% agree. The whole conversation and plus that trailer was just very good to watch, and I just can't wait to see the full length of that as each episode going on.
Yeah. Chris and I were talking in text a couple of days ago, and we were talking about the potential for old Steve Rogers to make a cameo in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, I would love that. Like, I don't need flashbacks. I don't need anything like that. I feel like Sam Wilson and Bucky just sitting down having a conversation with Cap,
So
just to like get perspective on what the symbol of Captain America means and what they're trying to pretty much represent by carrying on his name. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would be a really good, like, emotional moment for those two characters.
so my theory, do we know how many episodes is the show again?
8, I
Yeah, I think
think.
it's 6 or 8. Yeah. So
Chat, fact check me, please.
if the show is 8 episodes, we might see Cap by episode 7, ending of 6, because we know is a climax that their Cap with our boy with our boy Bucky and plus Falcon, they're gonna be in the dumps. They're gonna just have probably low self esteem, some type of fight did not go well. Then they're gonna go to Cap, say we need some advice. We need to know what we're doing is correct. With all these type of missions, stuff like that needs to happen, and I feel like it's the best way. Like what James said, is gonna connect the story and have him be there for you. Like, hey, you guys are doing great. You guys are doing great with the whole symbol and everything, and probably give them some type of word of advice. I feel like that would be the best way to have Cap on the last 2 episodes and just have a little nice word of wisdom.
Yeah. So chat saying it's 6 episodes.
Oh,
That's
six?
cool with me. I'll
Six is
take
fine
it,
too.
because I know they obviously have a plan. They know that they can do whatever they need to do in 6 episodes. So I'm good. That's dope. Like, I'm here for it. February 23rd, right?
No, in
No,
March. No, in
March.
March.
My
Yeah,
bad. Yeah, I'm
March.
thinking about Flash.
Yeah, that's the Flash. That's that week. But for us, it's in March 20th around there. That's why I know.
Yeah, I can't wait for Falcon and Winter Soldier, man. Like, I love the Bucky character. I love Sam Wilson, Captain America. Like, the moment that #1 came out, like, you have no idea what it means to be a black kid picking that up, right? I mean, obviously I wasn't a kid when it dropped because it was just like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But can you imagine being a kid picking that up and actually like feeling truly represented? Like, it's so important to have representation in comics and all of this stuff. That's why I'm so glad we're getting Miss Marvel and all of these different characters, like, which is why I would love to see Shuri become the Black Panther. Like, I want Marvel Studios to branch out, man. Like, the What If series is going to make
Oh, that would be
T'Challa
fun.
Star-Lord. So it's like, just mix it up, man. Have some fun.
To answer what Merck said, if we're gonna see any type of Spider-Man type of series on Disney Plus, depends with Marvel and Sony deal. That's all on them, because technically Sony owns anything Spider-Man like. And right now, with what the news happened with about Morbius and other shows that are gonna be pushed back for another months and another year, it really depends how Sony and just Marvel wants to handle it. And also, Spider-Man makes a lot of money in the box office. So if Sony and Marvel wants that, they're not gonna probably have a TV show unless it's a smaller character. Then maybe.
Yeah, man. Like, Pedro, I would love to see the Disney Sony relationship get even better, because we've gotten to a point
Yeah.
where the Sony characters and the Marvels and the MCU characters all exist in the same universe now, but Sony still has majority control of Spider-Man and those characters. So Mercenary, I would love to see a Spider-Man series. I think that would be dope, man. Like to see like you mentioned a Silk series, or I would
Yes,
love to see a Spider-Gwen series. Like there's just so much potential for this
but
stuff, but I don't think Sony has the hindsight to do that,
correct. They don't.
honestly.
Those two companies, Marvel. You could tell they are great with communication. Sony just wants to do their own thing and don't have any type of world building connecting. Because how you do Morbius and then Venom 2 with Carnage, but don't connect it with Spider-Man. When you say the Peter Parker MCU is the same Venom Spider-Man in your world, so they have no type of communication with what's going on. All they care about is money and just making some type of cash. That's it.
Yeah.
And that is very disappointing.
Pedro, I will have a lot more to say about Spider-Verse after we see Multiverse of Madness and Spider-Man 3.
Yes.
Because I think they're gonna do it in the movies, but man, a Spider-Verse series, like a limited run, like 10
Ooh.
episodes of just Spider-Verse.
Of King
Wow.
Goblin. Oh, King Goblin, to see him actually on the series. And guys, for those that keep saying about Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield is not confirmed still. All those outlets are still rumor, so that's why we haven't brought it up. But like me and James would love to see it, but at the same time, it's still
Oh yeah.
rumor. So as much as
Yeah,
we love
'cause I
to say
mean,
and be hyped, yeah,
Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man,
me
man.
too.
Like he's my favorite. Like Tom Holland is awesome, but I think Andrew Garfield is just better. It just sucks that he was stuck with those god awful Spider-Man movies. And what a great transition to
Nice
finally
one though.
talk about terrible and underwhelming comic book movies. I put in underwhelming in there because there was a few that I don't think are terrible. They're just underwhelming. And I can't wait to get into this. We're going to spend the next 30 to 40 minutes just ripping some of these movies a new asshole. Vash, would you like to start? Because if I do, I don't know if I'll stop.
I'm gonna just say this. I know me and James are in the same boat because we could say how beautiful she is, how amazing she looks, even on to this day. Halle Berry's goddamn beautiful. Anybody could say how amazing she's good looking. But Catwoman, that movie was in 2004 on IMDb. Right now has a 3.4 rating, and I agree with that score. Maybe a 2 or 3, but not the 3.4. But Catwoman, dog shit.
1.5.
1.5.
1.5 max. Dude, for fuck's sake. The main villain of Catwoman is face care products. Are you fucking kidding me? Some weasel executive was actually in the office. You know what women like? Makeup and face care products. So, women couldn't fight a man. So what do? I got it. We make the villain face care products. Fuck you. Are you kidding me? She's Catwoman. She's a fucking cat burglar. She doesn't sniff catnip and play with balls of fucking yarn. It is the most insulting, misogynistic piece of fucking garbage that exists. Face care products? Really? That is the villain of a comic book movie. Face care products. Fuck you. I digress.
I don't even know what else to add it in that rant there because I'm like, damn. James said all for me. He said the curses. He said fuck them and everything. Damn those type of executives. I'm like, damn. And like, can I add any 2 cents on the Catwoman? And not. All I could say, she good looking in that suit and everything, and a lot of ass shots and plus thigh shots that the whole director did because that's what they kind of focus on. But other than that, don't move was booty cheeks because I would never rewatch it unless. I don't know what, like I'll probably pay for it because it's not that enjoyable even until this day. It's fun, cool, but nah.
So
nah.
since we started with DC movies, let's stay within that realm for a little bit, and we'll
Alright,
just
cool,
go
cool.
back and forth. So you started with Catwoman. So I am going to start off with one of the biggest atrocities to ever happen to film, not just comic book movies, but to film, and that is, my friends, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. This is one of the most dog shit movies I've ever seen in my entire life. The budget for this film was like $4. There's literally scenes where Superman uses his laser vision to build a brick wall. Yes, you heard me. He uses his laser vision to build a brick wall. He also uses it to make the spaceship that he came in disappear. Then he magically takes all of the nukes on Earth and throws them into the sun. How does that work? If you throw nukes into the sun, it'll fucking blow up. We would all die.
I have not watched the film, but once you just said that he threw a nuke to the sun, I'm like, does he understand what the sun is? Is a heat
Dozens of
beaming?
nukes.
Wait, dozen of nukes? Okay.
Dozens of nukes.
Dozen of nukes to the sun should have destroyed the whole Milky Way of the galaxy. Not just Earth and a couple planets there. That should destroy the whole Milky Way of the galaxy if that's happening. So there's like any scientist, if you ask them, hey, I am writing out the story, does this make sense? If I throw some nukes to the sun, is that cool? That scientist would have said, we dying if you do that.
And this is why I actually like Man of Steel and BVS and everything that Zack Snyder was trying to do with the implications of having a Superman. In real life, could you imagine if Superman actually just went to every country and just stole their fucking nukes? There would be war. That's insane, right? So I do love the fact that Zack Snyder tried to ground everything. Light, you definitely need to watch this movie. If you haven't already, you need to watch this movie. Get a couple drinks, get absolutely hammered, and watch Superman for the Quest for Peace, and just have a blast watching this god-awful movie. Like, the budget was so bad. Most of the flying scenes are the same scene, it's the same footage, just put into different scenes over and over again. It's absolutely pathetic. The villain of the film is Nuclear Man, for fuck's sake. So, and he has these really sharp silver nails, and if he scratches Superman, he gets really weak and old. And Nuclear Man's weakness is darkness. It's like, wait, what? So some dumb executive was like, oh, Superman gets his power from the sun, so we're going to create a villain that gets his powers from nuclear energy, but if he goes into the shade, he'll die. Much like Captain Planet. I think Captain Planet is one of the dumbest heroes ever. If I throw dirt on him, he's dead.
That's weird because shade is everywhere. Like, wherever you have a light, there's shade. And wherever you have dirt, there's everywhere. Like, it's just crazy. Superman's forward. I'm so happy I never saw it because I would have been like with James right now, just ranting. But hearing this film, I'm like, good. I've not seen it. I'm very happy I've not seen it.
Mercenary brings up a great point. So I think it's actually Nuclear Man that does it, but Nuclear Man takes this regular woman and flies her up into space above the fucking moon, and she's breathing.
Wait, what? She's breathing?
She's breathing in space, bro. I'm like, what is happening in this movie? Why did you even bother making this movie? It doesn't make any sense.
Breathing in space and you're just a regular human, that's not possible. But
exactly.
they went with this. Like, how did they feel when they filmed it? They said, you know what, you're good. Yeah, just act like you're breathing in space. The actor, nobody said like, yo, but humans don't breathe in space though.
Nope. It's like,
nobody
so
questioned
you
that.
people can't even think about logical inconsistencies. Okay. Mercenary brings up a good point too. The Supergirl movie might just be as bad as Superman for the Quest for Peace.
Wait, there's a Supergirl film?
You don't know about the Supergirl movie, bro?
I don't know about the Supergirl film. Oh my god. I'll search it right now since we're live. Oh, okay.
I would love for us to watch it together because it is hilariously terrible. It's ridiculously awful. Dude, Supergirl comes to Earth to retrieve something. To retrieve something that is going to save the lives of everyone on her planet. And she decides to go to school. Like, the movie is about Supergirl going to school. Like, are you kidding me? It is the dumbest thing ever. It doesn't make any sense. But I already made my choice. Vash, give me another DC movie that you think is terrible.
Quick thing. I just saw the promo and this movie was from 1994. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were
I
trying to capitalize from the Christopher Reeve Superman movies.
I could tell. Wow, this movie was definitely bad. I could definitely tell on that. But for me on DC, DC right here, it's right in front of me. It's a film of 2011, and it's like cops but in space. We have a good actor. His name is Ryan Reynolds. He was born to play Deadpool, but before he did his actual role of Deadpool, he did a film called Green Lantern. And the only time the film was actually good was when it was in space, and that was when it was
When was
in.
that?
That was literally probably 20-minute stops, 10-minute
Really?
stops.
When did that happen? When did the good stuff happen in space? I'm still waiting for.
All right,
for
okay,
good
not
stuff to
in
happen.
space, in the planet of Oa to be exact, not in space itself, the planet of
Yes.
Oa.
I'm just
So,
clowning because I hate that movie.
on IMDb it says a 5.5.
That's too high.
I'll give it a 4. If I was asked, I'll give it a solid 4.
It's like, really? Like, you turn Parallax into a giant fart cloud. It's like, really? It's like, what is it with Hollywood and just taking characters and turning them into giant shit clouds?
Because they don't want to save money from making instead a actual figure like they did with Galactus. Instead of actually making a model of CG or any type of effects, they rather save that money and put it more in marketing or actors or other people. But they put it like Ryan Reynolds was not bad as Hal Jordan and everything, but the comedy was okay at times, but it's just
Yeah,
disappointing.
because Ryan Reynolds is funny.
Yeah, but with the actual characters, like it was great to see freaking Sinestro on air. I was happy to see Sinestro, but
Yeah.
I was frustrated to see him like the comics, the villain Sinestro, technically an anti-villain. He has the whole yellow corpse and everything, but then to see him feel so flat, and then the whole Easter egg they did at the end of the film, the Yellow Lantern, he
It's
became
out of
Sinestro.
nowhere.
I'm like, where's the build-up? He's supposed to get more character development.
Yeah, it's out of nowhere. Like, someone on OA says that, yes, the power of, like, fear is powerful, but the power of, like, you know, I don't know. Like, my brain is fried just even thinking about this movie. Like,
No, with the respect, because I, as much as I love Green Lantern, I'd rather read the comics or watch the cartoons or any of those movies that's freaking animated. That's way much 10 times better than watch this movie. Like, I'd rather go on YouTube, watch some clips that I like, and then just call it a day.
the only clip I like is literally when he punches Parallax at the end, when he makes the jetpacks.
Yeah,
That's about it. That's the
And-
only thing I like about that movie.
and also when he says a speech on when he says Green Lantern's light. I'm drawing blank on what the speech is.
Yeah, I will say yes. Him giving the speech was really good. He did
Like-
sell me on that.
Like that was beautiful. Other than that, whack. I just can't really watch that film. It's not enjoyable, not entertaining. I hope with this Jeff Johns TV series on HBO Max coming out in 2 years, hopefully that one will be 10 times better. And I think that one's 6 to 8 episodes. That one, and Jeff Johns loved the Green Lantern, so I don't think that movie's show's gonna fail, because that one he's behind the helm. So I have high hopes for that.
Yeah, and to Breeze's point, like, I don't get the point of animating the suit and animating the mask. It's like, yeah, sure, CGI is technically cheaper than building multiple costumes because they break down over time, and then you need the costumes to look differently depending on what the scene is. So yes, it's technically more expensive. You are Warner Media. You have the money. Stop being cheap and make good movies. The reason why Green Lantern failed is because you failed Green Lantern by not putting the money and the talent into the movie like it deserved. It is your fault.
I agree. It's very disappointing. And
Yeah.
me myself as a Green Lantern fans, as Howard Jordan, there's Jon Stewart, and also Kyle Rayner, all the other people that deserve to be on screen. And yeah, can I get it right? We want it right. Just get it done. Not that hard.
Yeah. Another DC film that I'll bring up, Hellboy. Well, it's Hellboy
Wait.
DC. Hellboy is DC.
Hellboy is Dark Horse.
You're right. Okay, so Dark Horse Comics. So Hellboy 2019. This movie is
Oh, that one I did not
ridiculous.
see. Yeah,
You haven't seen it? Oh
yeah,
man,
yeah.
dude,
So
you are in for a treat.
I just saw the first two, the ones like 2004 and then 2007 or 8. I saw those two made by Tarantino. I saw those, but I did not see the.
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, thank you, him. I did not see the 2019 one because I knew it was gonna be bad, and I was like, nah, I don't want to spend my money on that.
I had high hopes, man. Like David Harbour was in it. Mila Jovovich was the villain. Even though she's not in the best movies, I always think she's awesome. Ian McShane was back. Like it had so much potential, and it ended up being in my top 5 worst movies of 2019. Like it was absolutely horrendous. Like I don't know why some movies think that just because you have an R rating, that means that you have to say fuck every 2 minutes. Like that doesn't make your movie good just by saying fuck every 2 minutes.
It doesn't like, and when a character is meant for like Deadpool, Deathstroke, or some characters in that type of realm that is that hard R or that bloody, then yes, Hellboy is just a dick. That's all he is. He doesn't curse. He doesn't need to say fuck all the time. So it sucks to hear from you that you had high hopes and you was let down. It sucks to hear that.
Chris, I'm sorry. We can't be friends anymore. I think you have to leave the stream.
Wow, you actually enjoy. I might just watch it just to give my own thoughts, but it cannot be any worse than Fantastic Four, the one of 2014 or 2016 was. It cannot be any worse than that.
It
No,
is.
don't you lie. And
My
I was
opinion,
bored as hell.
in my opinion, it is. Chris, I would love to have you on the show. We need to talk about this movie because that Hellboy movie is dog shit, bro. Like there is a character in this that has like God, I can't think of what exactly her power is, but she utilizes like she has like ectoplasm. Like however, I can't remember exactly what the term is, but it's like the CGI is terrible in this movie. The green screen scenes are terrible in that movie. The acting is terrible in that movie. They tried to make Hellboy really quippy, like he's in an Avengers movie or something. It's awful.
I just I
Chris,
just
go. I love you.
I just wish I just wish the company Lionsgate just gave more money to our Guillermo del Toro, and I wish he got the chance to make Hellboy 3 because he wanted to make it, but he had a vision. He said, "I need this. I need this big budget. Can you guys help me out?" They said, "Nah, we're gonna put the money elsewhere." But like, if you believe him in the first two films, which did not make that much money, but a lot of people love those. Like, they're not perfect, 9 or 10s, but they're good, solid 7 to for people to enjoy them. And I had a good time as my childhood, and I could rewatch the first one. The second one is a big half a half, but still
Yeah, I
enjoyable.
agree. Yeah, I agree completely. Like, and I mean, I get it, man. Like, from the studio's perspective, both movies didn't make that much money. They were technically profitable, but not enough money to warrant giving Del Toro $200 million to make another one. You know what I mean? So I get it, and I get wanting to reboot it and like start over using like a different storyline directly from the comics and like just trying to change things up, but it fails in every way, shape, or form. But give me another DC movie that you think sucks.
I was gonna give, where's it? That's Marvel. That's Marvel. That's Marvel. Oh, I'm curious about your thoughts. I don't think we have spoken about this. Jonah Hex,
Oh God.
the movie from 2010, on IMDb has a 4.7. I felt like that's right. I would give it a 4 though, not a 5 almost, but I'll give it a 4 because I had a good time with with a few of the actors, not the whole cast, and with the CG and the stuff was iffy. Sometimes I feel like on his face, I feel like sometimes it's very noticeable as well. So I felt like it could have been better. And Jonah Hex is not a big character in the comics. He's probably like a C or probably D level character, but in his roles in his comics runs that we had with Constantine and with other characters, he has a good run. It's just very disappointing to see that film drops, like not drop, but be so bad. Like, how the fuck can you miss a Western style character, but in modern era?
I don't know, man. Like I didn't have high expectations anyway. Like I just feel like that was a part of an era where they just didn't know what to do with comic book movies. So I never had expectations when I saw it. I was like, yeah, this is as bad and boring as I expected it to be. It's a waste of Josh Brolin in a comic book movie. Honestly, like it's just though that's one of those that's just like, it is what it is. It's barely one that I would put energy into being upset that it exists. It's just a boring movie. Mercenary, I actually don't think Daredevil is a bad movie.
Which,
I don't think it's great, and we'll get into that
yeah,
when we
but I
get into
say,
the Marvel
yeah,
movies.
yeah, because a lot of people said that movie, but I'm like, that was not that bad actually. But we will get to that.
Yeah, we'll talk about Daredevil a lot more. But another DC movie, Joss Whedon's Justice League, absolute dog shit movie. Straight up, like I fucking hate Joss Whedon's Justice League movie. I do not like the idea that he makes Batman do quips. Like that's not what Bruce does. Like I hated that aspect of it. I don't like the way Ezra Miller was directed as the Flash. The way that he's so clumsy and dorky, and the way he runs looks really stupid. I hate it.
So
I hate the reshoots that he did with the stupid mustache gate. I hate it all.
would it consider, because I give the movie a 5 or 6, that's considered bad, right?
I mean, a 5 would be like borderline bad to me.
Okay, so then I guess it's bad for me as well, because I watched it the first time. I was like, alright, cool. I enjoyed it. The second time is when I noticed the mistakes, the flaws in the film, and is when I fell asleep in the movie theater. And also Sam, and he's like, yo, bro. He's like, yo, bro, wake up. I'm like, oh shit, my fault. I just fell asleep because how boring the movie was, and like how much I wish it was better. Like Justice League supposed to break box office records, supposed to beat the Avengers in box
It
office.
barely made
1 billion.
million. Like it barely made 100 million.
That movie was supposed to hit 1 billion. It only
Silly.
made I think 615 or something like that.
Something like that.
And it's like so disappointing because Justice League is, if you ask anybody what's before all these comic books came out, Iron Man, Avengers, Black Widow, and Hulk, if you ask them what comic book character they know, people will be like, oh, Batman, oh, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then maybe Spider-Man, Wolverine, Marquette. But most people know about the big Justice League characters more. And how do you fail at that? Like, how the fuck? Like, it gets me mad. Like, I grew up with Justice League animated series of the regular and plus Unlimited. And those shows are 10 times better.
I don't think Joss Whedon was ready to make movies again. Because if you know, like, if you heard interviews with him, Age of Ultron was a really tough shoot for him. And he hasn't really written or done anything since, honestly. It was a really, really rough time for him. And I feel like it really shows in this Justice League movie. Like, another thing that I hate is how they sexualize Wonder Woman, right? Because we saw Wonder Woman BVS, we saw her in Wonder Woman, and I feel like Joss Whedon took every opportunity possible to get the camera as far into Gal Gadot's ass as humanly possible. And yes, of course, I enjoy looking at it, but why do you need to do that? You know what I mean? Like, why do you need to sexualize someone who's already incredibly gorgeous and sexy? Like, I hate stuff like that in comic book movies and TV shows.
And plus, there's a time and place to do it. This is a comic book film, meaning to tell story, action, and to relate to our real life. When there's a movie of Gal when she's in a different film, you could do those shots. Or go search on Google on her regular day when she's caught by the whole paparazzi. But don't just need to see a whole ass cheeks and everything because of a movie and a comic book film called Justice League. That movie's supposed to be the world ending doomsday dark side coming in. What is it? What is it? A whole ass cheek in the screen. How's that gonna help?
I don't know, dude. I hated his version of Steppenwolf. Like, Steppenwolf's dialogue is really generic. His motivations are boring and generic. And Pedro, I'm not questioning the Whedon verse. Like, I'm actually a huge Whedon fan, which is why Justice League pisses me off so much. I love Buffy. I love Firefly. Like, anything that the first Avengers movie, like anything Joss Whedon touches, I'm usually on board, which is why this movie pisses me off so much, because it's a huge like step back. And it's like they didn't know what they were doing with Superman. It's like, well, We want him to be really cheery and light, like Christopher Reeve's Superman, but we want him to be still reminiscent of the Superman that we got in Man of Steel. And then they give him really, really terrible dialogue too. Like that's another thing in this movie. The dialogue in Justice League is all bad as well. Like I despise Justice League, and I can't wait for the Snyder cut.
One thing also that was also very disappointing is Aquaman. Aquaman felt very different from his film when it was made right after. Where like, where's the improvement of this character? Like, yeah, we're supposed to speak with each other of the story, but Aquaman was very underwhelming. It's like, where did it feel? And what you said earlier.
Oh, you didn't like the Aquaman movie?
No, I love Aquaman, but the actual
okay.
his story in the actual Justice League. But
Gotcha,
I
gotcha,
agree
gotcha.
with what you said about the mustache. How are you Warner Brothers with so much goddamn money and have it look that bad?
I
How?
don't know, dude.
You Warner Brothers to have so much movies that made for years and years, and you make that one scene of him with a mustache like this? How? How do you F that up?
I mean, they were running out of time, and they had to do all of those reshoots, and it just came out terrible. And it's it's something that you really, really notice. So, Pedro, I'm glad that you brought up Wonder Woman 1984. So we can talk about this. Vash,
So
you and I have not really spoken about
we
Wonder Woman
haven't.
1984. I personally think so. I brought up the underwhelming movies for Wonder Woman 1984. I
Okay
do
then.
not think it's a bad movie. I don't.
100%.
I also don't think that it's a good movie in any regard whatsoever. But it's not a bad movie. I'm just underwhelmed by Wonder Woman 1984, and I personally will never watch it ever again.
I 100% agree, because that's the perfect words you said. Is how it felt. Because it's not bad, it's not good. It's literally right in the middle of average, where I'm ready to watch it again, because not for homework, not for anything, but also it's not good enough to rewatch it as well. But it's just that you and me are huge fans of the first one. Patty Jenkins directed an amazing job, the way it was shot, the way it was filmed. But also, if you think about Wonder Woman, the first one, you can name probably 5 great scenes throughout the whole film, like 5 top scenes. No Man's Land, when she jumped, don't count the last 20 minutes of the whole CG fight, that's something else. But other moments of that film, when you think of Wonder Woman 2, 1984, it's like, what moment can you say that was good to really pick out other
The
than the
mall
first 5
sequence.
minutes?
Yeah, the
And
mall
plus,
sequence in the beginning I really liked.
and plus the
I
first
liked
5 minutes. But that wasn't even God. That was a kid doing the acting for showing the personality of her doing like a whole great ninja warrior, type of scene.
Yeah, man, but I just feel like I don't understand what happened with the making of Wonder Woman 1984, and I've talked about this movie to length. You guys can see my part 1 review here on the channel, and you can listen to my part 2 review on the podcast feed. But my biggest issues with this movie is the fact that there are no real stakes, and there are just some other things that just don't make any sense at all, right? One of my biggest issues is with Cheetah. Like, you get Kristen Wiig, you get this good actress, and Kristen Wiig isn't the problem, but Cheetah is the most generic, like, 90s woman villain you can find, bro. Like, she's the same as Pamela Isley in Batman and Robin. She's the same as Edward Nygma in Batman Forever. Why would you do that to this character, bro?
But what makes no sense is that she's a beautiful actress. How can you tell just by making her look her hair a bit ugly, add her glasses, give her ugly dress, and say, yeah, she ain't beautiful? Like, she's still beautiful with the ugly hair looking like an ugly dress, and saying that no guys pay attention, but she wants to be like Wonder Woman just because she knows how to walk in heels.
Exactly. Like, that feels like something ancient, like something you would do like again in like the early 90s or some shit.
But
Like, why would you do that to this character? And a huge arc of her character is that she can't wear heels, but now that she has superpowers, she can run and walk in heels. I don't fucking care.
so a lot of people feedback or counter argument was saying that people say that this movie was placed in the 80s, so that's why they had this trope there. But I'm like, just because it was placed in the 80s, you could have used a different trope and probably even better. Like, just because She could have just said, "Oh, I want to be a good woman, like woman. I want to be like her, not just like." You could say, "I want to be the way she walks. You know, I'm very impressed. She's a good role model." Think like something like that, where kids back then want to be like some type like a Barbie. They had those type of Barbie like a role model. You could have speak in that type of sense, not just say, "I wish to be like this character, da because I want to be like her. She knows how to walk in heels." That felt very bad and ugly.
Yeah, like I hate the way that nerds are portrayed sometimes in movies. Like, not all nerds are clumsy,
We're
smart
not.
idiots. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that stuff, and I don't care that it takes place in the 80s and that's what you were going for. It's still wrong. You could have done it differently. She could still envy Diana.
Yeah.
Diana has a great job. She has great dresses. She's absolutely stunningly gorgeous. She has a great job, a great career. You know what I mean? There's other things that Barbara could have been envious of instead of something like that. My other thing where I said there's no real consequences to this movie because Max Lord gives the president the wish to have 100 nukes. We're on the brink of nuclear war across the entire planet, and then he just renounces his wish and says that he loves his kid. It's like no one forgot, dude. Everyone remembers what happens. So it's like that's another thing. There's so many plot holes in this movie. She can fly in Wonder Woman 1984. She can make things invisible by touching them because of Zeus's powers. Where was any of this stuff in BVS? Where was it in Justice League? When they were fighting the parademons, those powers would have been very useful.
They have no Kevin Feige to lead them in story and actually lead where's the cinematic universe aspect. They just write off each movie like it's its own, which I agree 100% because Wonder Woman in the comics, she knows how to fly, but with her powers of to make things invincible, it depends on which comic run you want to read. But in a movie, it's just happy like I only done this once when I was a kid, but then I lost a coffee cup, and then she just does the whole thing invincible. I'm like, okay, if she does it one time every movie or so, I'm like, okay, it's understandable. But it like that scene was dope because we grew up with the whole invincible jet, but she doesn't lose her invincible jet in the comics or in the cartoon. So for this, just to what happened to it? Where did it go?
And I agree with Ray, right? Like Ray is saying like those stuff would have made her OP. Then
But
don't
she
put it
is
in Wonder
OP.
Woman 1984. Don't put it in.
But
Just
then
don't do it.
But then she is OP in the comics, and then if they want to take off her flying, but then in some movies make her fly, but then the next movie don't make her fly, they have to choose one or the other.
Exactly. That's my point, right? Like just choose one. Like you can't set the movie in 1984 and then give her new abilities that she doesn't use like 30 years later. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense.
And plus, like, what do you find it weird that she learned how to fly because of Steve? Like,
No, I don't have a
yeah,
problem with
yeah,
that.
me either.
Because
Because
she's technically not flying, right? Like she's doing an advanced version of Buzz Lightyear. She's falling with style, right? Like whenever she's gliding, and then whenever she falls, like she uses the whip to propel her forward, and then she continues to glide. So she's not really flying, but because of Steve teaching her, like, yeah, flying a jet isn't hard. Like you need to feel the wind, you need to feel the plane itself, and I thought that was sweet actually.
yeah, sweet. I agree. That's why I asked. Last question I was gonna ask you. So you know how a lot of people on the timeline was getting mad how she technically was having sex with another dude that's not really Steve. I was not bothered by it as much as many other people was.
Okay, good. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And the fact that you don't see it as a problem is a problem, right? Because I'll bring up a really good example. So if any of you guys watch like the originals, right? When that series was running, there is a scene where a character is put into another woman's body and her boyfriend wanted to have sex with her. But the woman said, "Hey, this is not my body, and the owner of this body cannot consent to the actions that are happening because that would be rape. The point of rape is that you yourself cannot give consent to sexual actions, right? But because it's a woman and because it's a man in this case, no one cares. Guess what, bro? It's still rape.
No, no.
That guy was put into the sunken place and Steve took over his body. That guy could not give consent to his body being used for sex. It's
So
rape. The fact that people don't, and I'll let you talk. It's
yeah,
just I wanted to get
yeah,
this
yeah,
out,
yeah, go
but
ahead.
it's just like the fact that some people don't see it as a problem is a problem. We're fighting for equality, but equality only matters sometimes. It's like how can it be rape in this one situation if it's a woman, but because it's a man, it's no longer rape? You know what I mean? That's not fair because that man could not give consent. Just because Wonder Woman is a gorgeous woman does not mean that it's not rape. It is. It is what it is. And I want to hear your thoughts on it.
So I agree with what you said 100%. The only reason that it doesn't bother me is because they never kept it as a consequence. That story plot, where if they actually brought it up,
That's a problem. That's another problem with the movie.
that's a problem because at the end they just made it like, hey, I'm just smiling at you because you're good looking, but she smiles back like, hey, you had a good body, but you don't know that. So in a way, it's like I laugh about it, but at the same time, it's about like they should have never showed the scene for, other than it was snowing. Other than that, I'm like, it's cool, but overall, there's no consequence for that scene and that character because, like most people said online, it's like, oh, but this character maybe he had a job, he had kids, probably some type of parents
Yeah.
that he probably go to, probably a doctor appointment, who knows? But he never show up, so nobody care for him or ask for him.
These are the logical inconsistencies with the entire thing. So this is the other plot hole, and I don't want this to turn into
Yeah,
a
of course.
Wonder Woman 1984 review, but this is the other plot holes with the movie. So you're telling me that the wishing stone can create 100 nukes and grant the wishes of every single person on the planet, but it can't bring back a human body? That's dumb, right? In any other medium, we've seen that you can always reanimate a body, but you can never bring back the soul. Well, that's what they did in Wonder Woman 1984. They bring back his soul, right? And they put him into someone else's body. So my point is the entire thing could have been avoided, and they chose something really, really stupid.
I
Because if you were asleep, if you were passed out and you were asleep, and some random woman had sex with your body, would that not be rape? It doesn't matter how good she looks. It's rape because you couldn't consent.
Yeah,
Is that not
me.
true?
No, it's true. I'd be like, hey, oh, I slept with her. Damn, but I wish I knew. I wish I saw, but technically I did not agree to it. So it's like, yeah, that sucks. But to add to what you're saying is that DC Comics, when people compare Marvel and DC Comics, people will say D- DC Comics deal with more gods, more powers that's above the humans' powers and everything. So if this movie, Wonder Woman and everything, was dealing with one artifact, could deal with a god that is, takes things away and gives other people their dreams and everything. I agree with what you just said. Where this is a DC comic movie, there's an artifact. Why couldn't I just bring back Steve Trevor and then I better just kill him again? It could have just brought back a body and just kill him one more time.
No, that's exactly what they could have done. Because I mean, it would be the same thing. Like Wonder Woman's a god, right? Well, a demigod in the DCEU. But you could have brought back Steve, and bringing back Steve in his entire body causes her to lose her strength. It would be the
Same
same thing. There would be no difference, bro. It makes no sense. But let's move on to another movie because there's so many Marvel movies that I wanted to talk about. Mercenary brought up Captain Marvel. I don't think Captain Marvel's a bad movie. Is it
Yeah.
as good as 80% of the other MCU movies? No, but I don't think it's a bad movie.
It's just out of the 23 or 25 films by now of Marvel, it's in the top 15 to 23. It's good. It has its moments. It's just not perfect, and it could have been better. But they try to play too many with the ideas, and plus the whole type of political concept of it. But for me, I agree with James. It's not bad. A bit underwhelming, but overall, if you want to watch it again, you can. Just probably skip a couple moments, but overall, it's still a entertaining film to an extent.
Yeah. Pedro brought up Suicide Squad. Ooh,
That's a good
that's
DC
a
film.
dog. That is a dog shit.
That's my
movie.
guilty pleasure. I will be on that. I'm sorry, James. That's my guilty. Like, it's not great. I will agree, but I enjoy Will Smith. I enjoy what he did. He was good as good as Deadshot. Harley Quinn could have been a lot better. She did not need to be so sexualized because, god
Yes,
damn it, that
bro.
movie, she was way too sexualized in that film.
She's literally a stripper. They turn
That's what I
Harley
said.
Quinn
What I
into
said.
a stripper.
And she's not a stripper, guys. She's literally a doctor, psychologist. That's what she is. She's not a stripper. That shit
Which
threw
is
me
why,
off.
like, why I think Birds of Prey is a good movie. Like, I love the way that Harley handled in that movie. Suicide Squad. Why does the world need to be ending in a Suicide Squad movie? Why does there need to be a giant fucking beam going into the sky? Why do I need to spend half the movie watching what was her name? The sorceress. What's her name?
Oh, I forgot her name.
I can't remember, but she just spends half the movie doing this. My power, this is my power. I'm gonna end the world. So fucking stupid, bro.
I don't know why the actress had to do so many arm movements. I'm like, girl, like, are your arms not getting tired for doing this whole 2-minute scene? Like, aren't your arms getting tired? Like, my arms get tired after holding it up for 20 seconds.
It's
like,
I have so many of that movie, bro. So like, Diablo spends the whole movie not wanting to be close to them because he lost his family, and then 2 seconds later, I need to fight for my family. Dude, you just met them like 6 hours ago. What are you talking about?
And plus, Rachel said it is our girl Enchantress. That's her name.
Yeah.
But I agree. Well, Diablo, he's more powerful in the comics. Like, that ending scene, like, that's his powers. You guys should have used him more throughout the film like this. But guess what? They was probably doing to use a CG. It costs more with the whole VFX. But, like, this dude is powerful. Like, and this film could have been so much better. Like, Suicide Squad is literally a team of anti-heroes or anti-villains that could work together. But they barely work together. And also Captain Boomerang. And some people just got shot like that fast. I'm like, yeah, they're supposed to get killed like that. But, like, again, I'm not defending the film. It's just a guilty pleasure because I enjoy some of the characters. And I have a good time with it. But it's not perfect. Like, technically, it's like a good 5 out of 10. Because that movie was mostly soundtracks of music, pop culture, of rap songs, too.
This film was edited by music video editors, bro. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. And I get you. It's a guilty pleasure movie. Like, Batman and Robin, surprisingly, is not on my terrible list because that's one of my guilty pleasure movies. I think that movie is so god awful and terrible that it's actually like so much fun to watch, and it's so entertaining. Like, I watch Batman and Robin at least once a year because it's just so much fun to watch this train wreck happen.
Overall, Suicide Squad could have been a better entertaining film, but like I said, guilty pleasure. Would I watch it every single year, every month? No. But if I'm bored one night where I just want to kick back, hey, James, why don't you just get drunk and just watch something on Discord? All right, cool, let's watch Suicide Squad. Most likely not. We will probably watch a better one. But, yeah. But overall, Suicide Squad is a good, enjoyable, guilty pleasure whenever you're on your free time. That's what I can say.
I respect that. I respect
but it's
that
not good. Again, guys, it's bad. But
there are some Marvel movies that I really, really want to talk about, and I kind of want to lump these two movies in together, right? So the two movies that I'm going to lump together right now that I think are two of some of the worst comic book movies ever: X-Men Apocalypse and X-Men Dark Phoenix, right? So we get X-Men Apocalypse. We think we're going to get Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse. Is going to be amazing. And we get an absolute dumpster fire in X-Men Apocalypse. That movie is so horrendously terrible. It's like, instead of Apocalypse actually looking and getting the 4 horsemen, he just randomly finds people and gives them powers, right? And then he has the ability to disintegrate people's entire bodies with his mind, but doesn't use it on the X-Men ever, right? And then at the end of the movie, Jean activates the Phoenix Force to kill Apocalypse, and then in X-Men Dark Phoenix, it's fucking retconned. X-Men Dark Phoenix takes place 10 years after Apocalypse. How can you retcon the Phoenix Force? And then she gets it at the beginning of X-Men Dark Phoenix. What? You've seen those movies, right?
I have not seen Dark Phoenix because I saved myself from not watching it.
God.
I thought about watching it last night. I'm like, damn, should I sit in another bad film or should I watch something else? I was like, James, I love you, but I'm gonna go watch probably some Batman Beyond, and I did that instead. But I have
Rob, I'm
seen.
not saying that Storm got her powers from Apocalypse, but when he makes them the Four Horsemen, he enhances their abilities. So that's what I meant.
And X-Men Apocalypse, so fucking underwhelming film that got me so sad. Like, if you have seen X-Men, the cartoons, they have handled Apocalypse so much better. And that is cartoon. And the voice and everything. Like, Apocalypse is literally one of the most powerful mutant. That is an S tier villain of the Marvel Comics. Apocalypse and the Four Horsemen. The ones that happen in the movie are technically, well, I think one or two of them are the original Four Horsemen, but other ones are the Archangel or Magneto or Xavier, and seeing other characters. But these characters that we saw, it was just so underwhelming. Like, and to see the whole Phoenix, and then hearing from James that I got retcon, I'm happy I didn't see the film. It's just disappointing because I knew that film, and I know another one that James is gonna bring up, New Mutants. I knew not to watch that one as well because that one been under development hell for 4 goddamn years, and finally, because Disney said, you know what, can we just release this so we could just get it over? And I'm like, they're like, yeah, because it's so sad. 4 years that movie has been in reshoots, and editing. And those actors have been growing up and said, hey, do you know when that movie's coming out? And they just kept saying, I don't know. I don't know. Just keep going there. I don't know.
Like, X-Men Dark Phoenix, like,
Like,
Jessica Chastain, like, she's in that movie as the villain, and she's so stoic and boring. Oh, Pedro, do not get me started on Jennifer Lawrence. Okay, so
Jennifer Lawrence was trash, yo. In
get
Apocalypse.
So-
yo. She had no life in it no more.
Let me say this. I think Jennifer Lawrence is a tremendous actress. I think
great.
she is extremely talented. But she is horrendously terrible in every single one of those X-Men movies. And she is the worst she's ever been in X-Men Dark Phoenix. She is just sleepwalking.
Really? That bad? Wow.
Oh, yeah. She sleepwalks through the entire movie. And God, I almost gave a spoiler. I don't want you to be spoiled. But whenever you do see Dark Phoenix, we'll talk about it. But I think she's horrendously terrible in that movie. And Dark Phoenix takes place 10 years before the first X-Men movie with Patrick Stewart. So the X-Men timelines are so fucked. So you're telling me James McAvoy is going to look like Patrick Stewart in 10 years. That's what you're telling me. It doesn't make any sense. Cyclops, Jean, Storm should all be adults. They're all adults in like their 30s in the first X-Men movie. So you're telling me that those kids are going to become mid 30-year-old adults in 10 fucking years? I am so glad that Fox cannot fuck these movies any more than they have. I forgot who brought up X-Men Origins Wolverine. We will talk about that really soon. But they have just destroyed everything. Like,
what I could say about Jennifer Lawrence and everything, I don't understand why Fox, all the freaking executives, thought about, hey, let's revolve the story around this girl, Jennifer Lawrence. Like, yeah, because she did so good in the Hunger Games and everything, we should continue have her as the main cast. Like, no. If you guys have read the comics, the story goes around the X-Men called literally Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, Rogue. These are the stories they should revolve around them. Not Mystique. She's technically an anti-villain or anti-hero. It depends on which comic run. She's supposed to be technically good or bad. She falls on the Wolverine in some runs and everything. They have kids or whatever. It just depends on what runs. But X-Men stories that never revolve around Mystique. So
they made the Sentinels based off of Mystique's abilities.
That too. What?
Hey, dumbasses! Mystique can only replicate someone's looks, not their fucking powers. Which doesn't make any sense to me, because there's a rogue cut of Days of Future Past. There's a rogue cut. Why didn't you just make it Rogue in the first place? Because we had Jennifer Lawrence and we want her on the poster.
I'm taking that clip too.
Oh god, dude, I hate these movies so much. Jennifer Lawrence fucking sucks in these movies. She's phoning it in every single time, and they keep making these movies about her. It's so frustrating, bro.
Yo, Merc, hey, you're a big fan of both our channels with both our networks, but if you're serious about that line, X-Men Last Stand is a good to pleasure is not. That
I
one.
mean, dude, I get it. I just said that Batman and Robin is my guilty pleasure. It's
But
okay.
damn, X-Men Last Stand, I can't do that. X-Men Last Stand is just, it's horrible.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch! Like, oh god, I hate that movie.
It works in Deadpool because they made fun of it, but
Yes,
no,
yes.
but not in X-Men. No, like no.
Rob, I agree with you. I do not think all the X-Men movies are bad. X1, X2, First Class, Days of Future Past, Logan, The Wolverine, Deadpool 2. Those are 8 great X-Men movies.
Yeah.
It's just the rest of them are just so god awful
Alright,
and
but-
terrible.
I kind of want to talk about Gambit because of what happened in Wolverine. Yeah. It's just Gambit is such an interesting character. The story, chemistry between Gambit and Rogue and everything has always been beautiful, and just to see how short-handed it was is very disappointing. Like Gambit is such a good character. He's Italian, and he's supposed to be like
Well, he's Asian. He's from New Orleans.
yes, but the accent felt Italian in the movie. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, gotcha.
But if
They got a great actor too. Taylor Kitsch is so
Yes.
talented. And I hope one day, because Gambit is actually my favorite X-Man, if I'm being honest. And I hope that one day they can just bring him back in when they reintroduce the X-Men, but I highly doubt it.
I think they probably might do him as a TV series because who's supposed to play him again? The guy that was a stripper in the movie. He was a male stripper. I forgot his name.
In what movie?
He was supposed to play him. Damn.
Oh, Channing Tatum.
Thank you, him. Yeah, I just was drawing blank. He's supposed to play Gambit with Fox and everything, but with this deal and everything, what happened with Disney? Who knows now?
Thank God. Thank God. Because, I mean, I do like Channing Tatum, but I don't think he's a fit for Gambit. Like, I don't think he's a good fit.
Me neither, but I have seen the promo art, which I'm like, oh, he looks cool. Like maybe it could work, maybe. But I'm like,
You know, mean anything.
yeah. But I'm glad it happened because I hope we get some of these characters actually justice as they should and deserve. But I hope to see Gambit and other characters get justice for what we hope to see better improvement of in the MCU, because I'm curious to know what they're gonna do with Logan, because Hugh Jackman was perfect as Wolverine. Like there's some characters that were born to play those roles. Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, Logan, Wolverine with Hugh Jackman, Chris Evans. There's that is like a whole different topic that we can have in the future. But Gambit and other characters there could have been so much better though.
Yeah, that movie is so disappointing. Like, I want to find the executive that thought it was a good idea. It's like, hey guys, you know what would be really cool? If we took the Merc with a mouth and sewed his mouth shut. That'll be so cool. You know what else will be really cool? You know how Wolverine is Weapon X? And you know how the group is Weapon X? Let's make Deadpool Weapon 11. We're going to put swords in his arms, and we're going to give him laser vision and teleportation, and the fans will love it.
No.
No.
Say that. Also, I want to see Sabretooth done right as well.
Yes, bro.
Sabretooth is supposed to be literally the freaking nemesis of Wolverine.
And how do you haven't? It's just the character was written terribly. It's like they're not brothers. Who wrote this?
They just have been in the same program and they fought together in the program. That's why they call themselves brothers. But they're not blood brothers. And I don't know why they had to tell the story like that, because they're not in the comics. So Sabretooth should be done right. It's just how it should be, because Sabretooth always had a grudge against Logan. They always hated him and everything. And Wolverine always tried to escape that. That's an easy story to tell, not the hard to have in live action.
And that's something they started off with, right? Like they started off with him envying Logan because he survived the treatment with the adamantium,
Yeah.
and Strucker didn't think that he could do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that's good motivation to turn them against each other, but it's just like trying to make them family and then trying to tear them apart because they're family, and then throwing the girl in there just to give Wolverine a girlfriend. It's like, why, bro? Why? It's just so dumb. But there are two more movies that we have to talk about before we go.
Are
Um,
are we gonna put all three of them together?
it depends on what your choices are.
If we're putting all the Fantastic Four together, because there's all three of them.
I'm saving Fant Four Stick for last.
Okay. All right, so go ahead then.
So I want to talk about Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3, oh my god. I was never a fan of Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man
Same here.
at all.
Same here.
I accepted him because that was the only thing that I had for a live action Spider-Man. I never thought he was Peter Parker. I
Same
never
here.
felt like he was Spider-Man to me. Spider-Man 3 is an abomination. Why? You as a casting director, how do you look at Topher fucking Grace and see Eddie Brock? Are you kidding me? Topher fucking Grace?
You don't. Al.
Topher Grace is the skinniest person in Hollywood. How do you choose him as Eddie Brock? I don't get it.
If people have seen the comics or cartoons, Eddie Brock is supposed to be a jock-looking dude, like a 250-pound dude, 220. But he looked like he was probably 170, like about to just go to work and have a 9-to-5 job. That's what he had that role. But Eddie Brock supposed to look like Venom. But once he became Venom, is when he became more extra thick. And that's like a no. That's just no. But Sandman was supposed to be a lot better in the comics. Like in the comics, he's great anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
But you have,
and then they end up retconning what happened to Uncle Ben in Spider-Man 1, and then they put Sandman into that. It's so stupid.
It's just so sad. And then have freaking the Goblin at the end. Like, how do you have three villains? Sandman, Venom, and Goblin all fight Spider-Man. Like, they was trying to really rush it because they said the rumor was Spider-Man 4. You're gonna have the whole Sinister Six and everything. I'm like, Sony, stop trying to rush the Sinister Six. It's all in momentum. It's all taking time and patience. No need to rush it.
Yeah, I mean, these idiots were trying to do the Sinister Six in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Oh, how could I forget that also? That piece of fucking
I was gonna
dog
bring
shit.
that one up next. So I was gonna bring that one
Yeah,
up.
let's talk about it.
I find Amazing Spider-Man 2 worse than Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3, I can at least sit down and cringe a bit, but Spider-Man 2, I mean, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is just worse because Jamie Foxx, he's a good actor. He's a good man and everything. But Jamie Foxx as Electro, and the way he gave his little stick of him having his awkward moments and everything, like, nah, this ain't it, bud. Like, nah.
It's like, he's black. Why does he have a comb over? Why does he have straight hair with a comb over? Like, it's so dumb. It's like, oh my god, Spider-Man, remember my birthday. He's so lame, bro. And then the dialogue they give him is so cheesy. I'm like, where did this come from? Who is writing this? Like, it's my birthday, so it's time for me to light my candles. I'm like, who is writing this dialogue, bro?
It was very disappointing. And Andrew Garfield's, like James and Mia said, is both our favorite Spider-Man / Peter Parker. And to see him fight Electro, like the first one against the Lizard, great film.
Oh, no, yeah.
It was a great, solid 8-9 film. It depends how you want to put it. But to see it go from Amazing Spider-Man 2, it was so disappointing. Like, it could have been so much better. And plus, Jamie Foxx is rumored to come back into the whole MCU. So because of he made a small mistake of the poster being on his IG and everything, if he comes back, retcon the whole character. Throw that character out the window, make a whole new one. Just, hey, I should look a guy from a whole different type of series, but I'm a whole new character. Just retcon a bullshit ass character.
Yeah, just retcon the whole thing. Keep him as Electro. Keep him for sure.
Just throw the whole shit out.
Just don't do that.
Just don't do that. Because it, like, how do you, like, we have seen some weird characters in the comics, but I've never met that type of weird with with the type of Jamie Foxx playing. I'm like, no.
Yeah,
The
it's like
fuck is going on?
you have to know that certain things just don't work live action, and I don't get how they were filming. It's like, oh yeah, Jamie, great job. Next scene. Like what? No.
Yes. If people have seen any behind the scenes type of commentary, usually after the whole director gives feedback. Okay, that's a good take. Let's run it back just in case for extra scenes. How did the director or any of the crewmen saw what Jamie did and say, yeah, that's a great job, guys. All right, let's go. Let's do it one more time just in case. Like, no, do it like 100,000 more times to get that shit right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, but The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a dog shit movie, and it's the reason why that franchise abruptly ended and Sony had to make a deal with Marvel Studios to get Spider-Man in the MCU so that it can actually be good. It's absolutely ridiculous.
So I saw in the comments that people say, how about the movie it's about Venom? How's that? So people think it's bad. What do you think about Venom?
Which movie? Venom, the movie Venom?
Yeah, the 2018 one.
Yeah, I don't think Venom's a bad movie.
Same here. All right, cool.
I will say, right, I am not a fan of the first 40 minutes of that movie. The first 40 minutes of that movie is the first 40 minutes of many movies like it. It's very generic. Character introductions are very generic. Riz Ahmed's character, I can't remember his name because it doesn't fucking matter.
It don't.
He's beyond generic throughout the entire movie. So again, the first 40 minutes, dog shit. But
agree.
Once you get past that, the last 45 minutes, oh, it's awesome. Once we actually get to Venom and him interacting with Venom and all of that stuff, like it's awesome.
It's an enjoyable film, a solid 7. If you skip the first 45 minutes, probably a solid 8. But overall, it's a solid 7, enjoyable film. And it's entertaining. We are Venom. Those scenes are enjoyable. And it's hard to tell with what you said. Like, how can you start with Venom without Spider-Man first? Because Venom gets started because of Spider-Man. But they had a...
I'm okay with that because, I mean, the symbiote comes from Mars anyway. It comes from space anyway. So that doesn't bug me if it doesn't go to Peter Parker first. Because it comes from space.
It comes from space, yeah.
Necessarily have anything to do with Peter Parker. So I'm fine with that. And yes, Ray, you can definitely skip the first 40 minutes and you won't miss anything. I promise you. You won't miss anything at all.
Well, one thing was interesting because with the whole symbiote storyline in the comics, it's kind of new, it's kind of recent. So for them to do that in the movie, it was very happy to see it. Was it done well? No, it was not. But I was very happy to see it done in some retrospect, and hopefully they improve that more in the future with having Carnage itself as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Carnage. That end credit scene was horrendous. Oh my god, that wig on Woody Harrelson was embarrassing. Pedro, I don't blame you for hating Venom. Like, again, the first 40 minutes is rough. Like, if you want to be entertained, it's really hard to just sit there for 40 minutes and just be bored out of your mind by seeing scenes that you've seen in other movies literally 10,000 times.
Correct. Like, jump into probably the 35 minute mark, and then from there, once he has a symbiote, you're good, because he'll be talking to himself, he beats up some people, and then talks to himself about we are Venom, and that's it. Then from there, the whole movie starts. Very good. So
yeah, like I'm excited for the sequel. I hope the sequel will be better, especially since that there's more collaboration between the executives at Sony and Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
Before we get into Fantastic and the other Fantastic Four movies, there's actually something else that I forgot to mention. And I'm not going to do a huge rant on this movie because I would actually like for Vash and I to do a commentary track for this movie.
Awesome.
But it's Iron Man 3. Wait, I think Iron Man... Go ahead.
Before we go into that rant of yours, I want to talk about a small movie, which is Hulk, because I want to hear your thoughts. The Hulk 2003 one. What did you think of that one? Before we get, because I know you have a lot more thoughts on Iron Man 3, so I know that will be taking a lot longer. Hulk, quick thoughts on that, because I hated that movie. Watching as a kid, my brain knew this is not a comic book film of the Hulk, and I hated that with passion. Like, this is me ranting myself as well, because it's just horrible. 2003 animation CG is just fucking trash, and it just threw me up like, this is not Bruce Banner. Like, yes, he's a smart dude, but he knows how to talk to women, and he was just he was bad. I don't know. I don't know shit about the actor, but that movie was dog shit.
I am not a fan of that Hulk movie at all. The CGI on that Hulk is real bad. Ang Lee tried his best. I didn't put that on my list because I feel like this was one of those movies again where we were just stuck in a place where we didn't know what comic book movies would actually be, right? Ang Lee actually tried to do scenes that actually looked like comic strips and like comic transitions, and
He
it doesn't
tried.
work. um the actor playing General Ross, I actually think he's good.
He was
um
good, yeah.
I don't have a problem with the acting. It's just the script has issues, and again, it's clear that they just didn't know what to do to make a truly successful comic book movie, and they were just experimenting and it just didn't work. So I can't put it on my list and say that I hate it.
That's me.
It just didn't work out. I mean, I get it. I get it completely, bro.
Because I love the Hulk, like knowing how to control your whole emotions, knowing how to control your rage. Like I'm a person when I was a kid who needed to know how to control my rage when I was mad, and I love the Hulk comics, Planet Hulk. People should read that comics if you have not
Oh
read
yeah.
it. Watch the movie as well, and for you to see that movie when Hulk was not done right, it just made me as a comic book fan as a kid, like my brain just knew, and just I rewatched it on a couple years later because it was just randomly on cable. It just pissed me off, like when he was just fighting his father in the air or in the cloud because his father was jealous of him because he had that power too. I'm like, what? No,
Yeah, that was really bad.
no.
I'm like, you're obviously shooting all of these scenes at night because you know the CGI is terrible. And you're trying
Yes, yes. They were trying to hide it really badly, and I agree with the cousin. Like they try to do the best with the comic book, try to tell with the whole transitions, but it just felt flat. It just failed. So like I give props to what they're trying back into the four, but let's get to here to your Iron Man 3.
yeah, and the CGI just I don't feel like the technology was just, well, I can't say that because the Matrix was 1999 and
And
that
that was
movie's
way much better.
um before I get to Iron Man 3, so I keep seeing people bringing up Steel in the chat. So I think Steel, I don't see Steel as a comic book movie. It's a movie with Shaq in a costume. Like it's so ridiculous because it's a Shaq movie. It's all about Shaq and his inability to make three throws. It's about Shaq being Shaq, which is huge. Like that movie is not a comic book movie. There is nothing in that movie that references the comics. It's like, sure, he has the suit, he has the hammer. It's just there's so many logical inconsistencies. It's like, what's the point of having a secret identity? It's like, dude, no one looks like Shaq. Everyone would know who he is.
So funny
But it
enough,
is definitely a guilty pleasure movie for me because I look at that movie and I just laugh at how bad it is.
I have never seen Steel.
Okay.
I'm here saying that I'm like, oh, so that's what they mean because I've never seen Steel. I've seen the movie Real Steel, the one with Hugh Jackman. I've seen that one. That was an awesome movie, but I've never seen Steel with Shaq, and I'm staring at the pictures and everything, and I'm like, this reminds me a lot of RoboCop.
RoboCop?
Yeah, like the whole suit, the way like this.
I see.
Yeah, but never seen it, and Shaq looks horrible in this.
I mean, Shaq's a bad actor. He's a bad actor. He's a bad rapper. It's like, dude, you're good at basketball. Do your thing and just not do anything else. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see Steel as a guilty pleasure movie because it's not a comic book movie, dude. Like, there's nothing in it that even remotely resembles a comic book movie, and it's just fun to watch Shaq do dumb shit because he tries to make three throws like four times in the movie, and it's the dumbest thing ever. But Iron Man 3, again, I'm going to save most of my thoughts because I think it would be better if I do a commentary track where I can go scene by scene and truly explain the things that I don't like about this movie. I don't want to just sit here and just bitch about this movie and it's like, oh, it's fucking garbage. I want to actually give reasons, and I need a lot more time than we have on Villains to talk about this movie. But I think Iron Man 3 is without a shadow of a doubt the worst MCU movie ever made. I think is one of the worst comic book movies ever made. And it's like, yes, that movie, what it does well is show Tony Stark having PTSD. I think that's important. Where Tony started in Iron Man 1, he was this super confident playboy, rich philanthropist. And in Iron Man 3, you actually get to see a more vulnerable side of Tony Stark. A Tony Stark that has to deal with, again, PTSD while still trying to be a hero because he has to do it, right? But my issues with that movie is its mockery of the Mandarin, is its mockery of AIM, its mockery of Extremis, its mockery of the Iron Man suits. In the first Iron Man movie, Iron Man, the suit, takes a tank round, and all it does is scratches the paint. In Iron Man 3, if he falls, the suit falls apart. There's a scene where a garbage truck hits the suit and it's done. In the third act fight with all of the other Iron Man suits, they all fall apart like nothing because they're fighting these people with Extremis. The movie is an insult to Iron Man, in my opinion. Tony Stark is barely ever in the suit. And yes, you can say that he's afraid to actually like be in the suit and fight because of his PTSD, but it doesn't work. Even at the end of the movie, he takes out the arc reactor out of his chest and throws it away. This is the same issue that I have with The Dark Knight Rises. Like, Nolan's Batman is not my Batman. As great as Christian Bale was, that's not my Batman. My Batman does not take 8 years off because his fucking girlfriend died. What about the promise you made to your parents to protect the kids and the people of Gotham from going through what you went through as a kid? That's bullshit that he would take 8 years off just because of his fucking girlfriend. But in Iron Man 3, you also made a promise. Your weapons and all of these other people that are creating tech to destroy the world, and you're going to try to give up on being Iron Man. Iron Man in the comics would not do that. Tony Stark in the comics would not do that. So my biggest issue with Iron Man 3 is that this movie is not actually about Tony Stark. This is not the Tony Stark Iron Man that I know, that I love, that I've seen in the other movies. And again, there are so many fucking issues with this movie. Again, the mockery of the Mandarin and the 10 rings. Like, and I know we're gonna get the 10 rings in Shang-Chi, and like we know that like Trevor was just an actor. But it's like it pisses me off. It's like you tell me that I'm getting the Mandarin, and then you blue ball me with the actor Trevor who just wants to watch football on fucking TV after he just took a shit. It's a mockery. It's a mockery of the MCU. It's a mockery of the character. And literally nothing in Iron Man 3 has anything to do with any of the other movies in the MCU. There is not a single thing that you can name that happens in Iron Man 3 that has anything to do with any of the other movies in the MCU, because it is the most insignificant piece of fucking garbage that has ever come out of Marvel Studios. And I'll leave it at that until my commentary track.
So I probably need to rewatch the film with James when we do the whole commentary track, because there's a few things I totally forgot about. The truck being hit, the suits and everything. Totally forgot about that because that did not register in my head. But two things I agree with James. Extremists. If people know in the comics, Extremists is a powerful thing that Tony infused himself with technology where he doesn't even need to go walk into the suit. The suit comes to him. Extremists is a powerful thing that where he becomes OP in the comics, and he also becomes with a suit of other type of materials that he confused with Extremists, and he's powerful. Mandalorian, that shit pissed me the fuck off as well, and I'm a huge Iron Man fan even before Robert Downey Jr. played the character. I grew up with the Iron Man cartoon, I grew up with the comics, I read it, and he was back then a C or like a B level character before anybody knew him. And to have Iron Man, the Mandalorian, wow.
Man in armor.
Ooh, wrong character. For you to have
Mandarin.
Thank you, the Mandarin. For you to have the Mandarin, the 10 rings, be as a joke as you did in Iron Man 3, and he's supposed to be one of the strongest characters against Tony, and supposed to be involved about, sometimes in some comics run, involved about Tony's father. That's why he died as well. And for you to have no connection with that as well, the Mandarin is a stronger character, and for you to treat him like this, I'm happy that Kevin Feige said that, hey, we're gonna bring him back. He exists in the MCU and everything. Thank you, but it's just it gave people like me and James a sour taste in our mouth for you to treat this character so poorly.
Yeah, it really, really pissed me off. Ray, I won't argue with you. Like Thor 2, if you think Thor 2 is the worst out of the MCU, I won't argue with you. It's what I think is the second worst movie. The only reason why I don't think it's worse than Iron Man 3 is that at least Thor the Dark World has some relevance to the rest of the MCU.
I can't. Thor 2, lowest one. That's like number 23, 24, like the last film for me. I can't watch that. I never finished it. I never finished it until this day. I probably watched half of that film, like the first 45 minutes. After that, like, I'm good. I don't need to.
Oh, Pedro, don't worry. We're going to talk about Doctor Doom real quick.
Oh, we are.
As soon as we're done talking about Iron Man 3.
That gave me PTSD.
Is going to be the last thing that we talk about here on the show. But yeah, I don't blame anyone for thinking Thor 2 is the worst. But again, I only put Iron Man 3 as the worst because at least Thor 2 actually has something to do with the greater MCU storyline.
What sucks that Extremis got replaced by Tony's nanotech. That's how it got replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And Extremis is technically much better than the nanotech because the armor of the nanotech would never disappear because you could bring that back. But they replaced it with Extremis, and Extremis is more powerful than any type of nanotech. And that's what bothered me as well when I saw Endgame open the video. I'm like, oh, cool, nanotech. He just grabs on the glasses. He could go out cool. But like Extremis, you could literally grab other type of armor from space or stuff that you have, laying around. It's just so much more. 3,
it's just people who can melt things and explode. That's it, bro. Like, again, Iron Man 3 just mocks everything that happened in the MCU. The only thing I will ever give it credit for is exploring PTSD in Tony Stark. When you look at a character that is so full of himself, that is so like narcissistic, the way Tony Stark is, to see him be vulnerable, that makes sense to me. You know what I mean? But I mean, like, it just makes a mockery of absolutely everything else, and it completely pisses me off, bro. And again, there is not a single thing that happens in Iron Man 3 that comes up or connects to any other film in the MCU. It doesn't. You never see the Iron Patriot suit ever again. They pretty much retcon the fact that he took out the chest piece. Nothing in Iron Man 3 correlates to anything else in the MCU.
One thing that I hope, the only two things that I'm happy that hope come back is the Mandarin and AIM. Hopefully AIM comes back because they're an actually organization as big as Hydra, or technically the Evolve organization of it, and hopefully we see a better version of it in WandaVision, Cap and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Hopefully we see AIM there because most likely they could be a villain there, and hopefully done way much better as it should.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into the main thing that I wanted to talk about here. Fant Four Stick and the other Fantastic Four movies. Vash, would you like to go first?
So this Tuesday night, I just felt like, hey, I have Disney Plus. Let me just kick it back. Let me just finally watch this film. It's been out for 5 years or so. So like, I think it's time I should watch it. Do I regret it? No, I don't. Do I know why I watch it really? Nah, I was just bored. It's late night. My girlfriend fell asleep. I need something to kill time to help me fall asleep. I did not fall asleep through the film. I just stayed watching. Did not laugh. Did not smile. And QCAX James, Ray, and Sam, I'm nice when it comes to watching stuff. I'll be like, hey, not bad. I had a good time. This film, I did not. And usually it's easy to please me. Like, I'm an easy dude to be fucking pleased. I am. Not that hard. How do you have the Doctor Doom look like Doctor Doom in the comics? He's a good looking dude. This dude in the Fantastic Four reboot did not look good at all. He looked like a homeless man. Like, yeah. his whole script of being everything. And this dude was obsessed with Susan again, like, because he asked the dad, he like, is Susan gonna be there? Like, yeah, she is. Like, okay, then sure, I'll come. Like, all right, cool. And then like Michael B. Jordan was probably the only entertaining thing throughout the whole film. Like, that's like the only entertaining thing. because Susan wasn't even good, and his actor name Miles Taylor was not good at all.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. If people have seen him in other films, he's good. But in Fantastic Four as Reed Richards, my dude, you don't look any nerdy at all. Like Reed Richards is a nerdy kid. The kid version of Reed Richards looked nerdy, but the adult version did not. And technically,
I never understood his casting, honestly, as Mr. Fantastic. I never got it.
Like at first, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna come. So it's like throughout the film, like you could probably be Doctor Doom. You could have been Johnny Storm. You could have been the Thing. But you don't look nothing like Reed Richards or act like him. And like you were sweet talking Susan, like Reed Richards sucks at sweet talking. And plus the Thing had no connection with coming with the project. He said, "Yo, I cannot do this project without you. We're gonna jump in right now. I need you right now." I'm like, "All right, cool, I'm gonna come." So this dude, your friend just came in an unauthorized building project that's working for the government, that's about to touch a other parallel freaking goddamn universe, and then they go in, and then of course everything gets fucked up because we're at the half point of the film, a year time skip, and Reed Richards leaves because he's scared.
Right?
The fuck is going on there? And then the Thing, his deal with the government is that he actually wants to fight, and because he wants to be cured. And then Johnny Storm is having a fun time going around the sky and doing missions. The fuck?
It doesn't make any sense, man.
But yeah, James, so what did you think about the film? Wow, I actually rented it for good, 2 minutes. Nice. All right, cool.
Okay, so when I saw Fantastic for the first time, I saw all of the early reviews. Like I think this film has like a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
I'll tell you in a few.
I think it was 16 or something. I was like, when I was watching it, I actually thought that the first 40 minutes of the movie was good. I was like, oh, we're going to do the ultimate version of the Fantastic Four. We're going to go with a darker tone for this movie. Instead of doing like the fun, light version of it, we're going to take the route where it's like, it's a burden to have these powers on some level, right? And I respect that because that was something that I liked in Man of Steel. I like that being Superman could also be seen as a burden. So with the first 40 minutes, I was good. And then we get to the other dimension. And then Doom is created. And then the way he was created was so fucking stupid with his suit like being like melted onto his skin.
I'm
him
like
having telekinetic powers that he never uses against the actual Fantastic Four. It was stupid, bro.
So Rotten Tomatoes has this movie as a 9. And IMDb has it as a 4.3. And plus Metacritic has that as a 27%.
Yeah, it's a really, really bad movie. Like the third
horrible.
act is literally like 12 minutes long, and then they try to throw everything at the kitchen sink. It's clobbering time, and then everyone's punching him. I'm like, this dude literally has telekinetic abilities that can explode people's brains, like we're in Elfen Lied, the anime. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Doctor Doom, like Pedro was saying in chat, is my favorite Marvel villain, right?
Yes, he is.
Because his intellect is rivaled only by Reed Richards.
Correct.
His tech is only rivaled by Reed Richards and Tony Stark. That's what makes him so amazing. He is the leader of Latveria. His suit, his tech is just as advanced, dude. Doctor Doom has murked the Avengers on multiple occasions
by himself.
Soloed, bro. And then he gets beaten by this terrible fucking group. Sue doesn't even go on the trip with them. She makes the suit.
So
she doesn't go, bro.
So I was questioning that throughout the film. I was watching. I'm like, wait, these 4 random dudes are going, but where's Susan? How's she gonna get pregnant? Like, while I was watching that scene, I was like, there better be no explosion, and then the explosion only gives her powers. And guess what? That fucking happened. Like, how is it that when they come back, the explosion happens and gives her powers? That makes no fucking logical sense.
Like, why wouldn't she just go on the trip? Why can't she just go? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And again, like, I liked the darker tone, but then once they get to the end of the movie, it's like, oh shit, I guess we have to be like the MCU and we have to make it fun and light. And then we get to the end of the movie, and then the thing is like, I don't know, it's fantastic. And then and then Reed Richards is like, what did you say? I was like, I don't know, it's fantastic. It's like, wait, there's 4 of us, and you said
Fantastic Four.
and then it cuts to black. And it's like, you motherfuckers are not clever. You did not cleverly come up with a way to name them the Fantastic Four. You people are a bunch of fucking brain dead idiots. It was not clever. It was fucking stupid. And you should be embarrassed that that was ever seen by a human being ever. Every time I go into Best Buy and I see Fat Forsic in 4K, I laugh my fucking ass off. Who is buying this movie in 4K, bro? This dog shit. Who is buying it?
I am mad when I see it. Like I saw that film and I was like, I really saw the bad film. Like, this is probably the worst film. I saw like a 2 out of 10 and everything. Like, I never thought like comic films could be this bad. Like,
how does it get worse than the other two? Like Rise of the Silver Surfer. So the first Fantastic Four movie is okay, right?
Yeah, it's average.
It's not great.
Flame On, Johnny Storm and everything. Reed, Doctor Doom, like the actor was cool, but
I like the actor.
But then the Doom aspect was horrible because he kept scratching himself in the mirror. He's like, oh, I should fix. Oh, wait, what?
Why do they keep giving Doom powers? The best part of him is the fact that it's his genius level intellect and his tech. The fact that he has all of this stuff and he can defeat people who do have powers. Why do they keep giving Dr. Doom fucking powers? It doesn't make sense, bro. And then the biggest atrocity, bro, is Galactus, the fucking shit cloud. Are you kidding me?
Purple Cloud. And
Really?
that was because of Johnny Storm. He infused with the other powers at the end. I'm like, Johnny doesn't have the ability. It was
So
only
you're
the
just
scroll.
You're just going to act like the Super Scrolls don't exist, so you're
Right?
just going to get this ability. Sure.
Right? I'm like, how is it that Quicksilver? Like, no, like, sorry, I said Quicksilver. How is it that the whole Silver Surfer gives the power of Johnny to have, oh, you could take all the powers of your friends and go fight a purple cloud in the sky and just punch him out? The fuck? No, that's called the Scrolls, the Super Scrolls. That's their fucking powers. The wrong people.
Yep.
The wrong person has those powers. Because the Scrolls, the ones that they kidnap them, the Fantastic Four, and then they take their powers and then become one. That's what they do with that.
It's so frustrating, bro. And Ray said it in chat. I was like, yeah, it's pretty much Parallax. It's so ridiculous. Again, what is with these fucking executives? It's like, well, fans don't want to see a giant purple man in space. What they really want to see is a giant fucking shit cloud that puts its giant shit parts into giant holes in the earth to drain it of its energy. It's fucking stupid. Who decided that the Silver Surfer needed to go to different planets to dig holes for Galactus? No, that's fucking stupid.
What he does is go to different planets and say, hey, boss, this is a good plan for you to come and eat. And then it's a giant 200,000 type of inches or yards. This dude is bigger than planets, and he just eats it. He literally just grabs them and eats them. He's not a cloud. He's a dude that's purple and blue and has a skirt. That's how he looks in the comics.
And I get it, right? It's also a budget thing, right? They didn't want to spend the money to have to animate such a large being for such a large amount of time.
But look.
A shit cloud?
But look.
Really?
You could escape that. Have him big for 20 seconds top scene, and then make him small into the planet Earth, and then just fight him. And then after that, that's it. You literally escaping the budget, 20-second scene, a big form of Galactus, and then save the budget. He's gonna come here and fight the Fantastic Four because the whole Silver Surfer said, "Hey, boss, you can't. We can't have the plan to be eaten because there's some people who's trying to fight us." Okay, cool. I'll come down to Earth myself. And guess what? He could just make him from big as Earth-sized, planet-size, or much bigger, and then make him to little human-size and just fight them. And then boom, he loses, and then somehow he leaves Earth. Easy.
You bring up such a good point, dude, because if you know the comics, that giant form isn't even Galactus's original form.
Nope, it's not.
Galactus is literally made up of just negative energy. He can choose any form that he wants, and he chose that form. So, like you just said, Vash, he could just shrink himself. He could just shrink himself to human form, and they could fight him. It would have been better than a giant fucking shit cloud trying to eat the planet. It's so lame, bro. It's
It's
so
not.
lame. They bring Doom back, and he's only in his suit for like 6 minutes, and then he's done again. It's like, why do you keep ruining Doom? Doctor Doom is one of the he is the greatest Marvel villain ever. How do you keep fucking it up?
If you guys want to read Doom comics, go read it. We highly suggest it. The first family of the Fantastic Four, there's many Doom comics. Like, Doom has a contract with the government in the comics where he would not be bothered. He has his own country.
Immunity.
It's just insane. It's just wow. Like, how do you mess up Doom? Like, how do you mess up the Fantastic Four, the first family of the Marvel comics? And it's like, it's sad to kind of bring this up, but the Fantastic Four first brought up with him Black Panther. My goal was to hopefully to see some type of connecting with Black Panther with T'Challa in the whole MCU, and to see that storyline come back within the comics and see it come in fruition. But sadly, we can't right now. But that's something that I hope that maybe plays homage in the future, because that's a good comic book run of how they were first introduced, and hopefully we could see that as well.
Yeah, man. But Fox no longer has their grubby little hands on these properties. They can't fuck it up anymore. They can't fuck it up ever again. I am finally glad that the first family is finally within the MCU. It is going to be I think Kevin Feige said that Fantastic Four was going to be in Phase 5.
Yes.
Or it might be towards the end of 4, I think.
Was it in 5? He said that it's going to be introduced in the ending of 4 in one of the films, but the movie will be coming in Phase 5.
Okay, yeah. So I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited to see how that's going to fit in. Like, I hope that they have to go to one of the different realities in the multiverse. Like, they travel there and that's how they get their powers. I hope that's something that happens, but we'll see. But I'm just very glad that the first family is finally home. I wish that Stan Lee was still alive to see this. It's Fant Four Stick is so bad, Stan Lee refused to do a cameo.
Yes, the only cameo,
the only one that he's not in.
No, the only cameo he's in is in the first film.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, Fant Four Stick is the only movie that he doesn't do a cameo.
Yes, because throughout the whole film, like, where's Stan Lee? And then by the end of the film, like, he probably might come to the ending. The ending happened, like, oh, so I guess he's not showing up. Okay, cool. So I was shocked about that. Like, not one scene of Stan Lee. He's literally in all Fox movies, Sony movies. He's in every film, and not one. I was like, okay, he must have known this is bad for you to not even show up. Like, wow.
He had to be embarrassed for his first family. Can you imagine creating the Fantastic Four and then seeing that dog shit movie, bro? I would be insulted. Like,
it's disappointing to see what Dr. Doom and the other characters has been portrayed, but hopefully now with Kevin Feige and the whole MCU and Fox could work together in making a good film with the new Fantastic Four. And one thing I'm hyped to see, The Thing and Dr. Doom to actually have some good justice, because The Thing have looked dog shit in both movies, and I'm curious to see how they're gonna do this one, with how they're gonna look with CG, or are they gonna build a suit for him and just add more in post-production. So I'm really curious to know how they're gonna look, because I'm very happy for it.
Yeah, I mean, we all know Kevin Feige is the guy in Feige we trust, and everything will be okay. Yes, there are 3 MCU movies that I think are absolutely terrible, but I mean 3 out of like 23, 24. This is not a bad record.
I 100% agree. And for those that are watching this now in the chat or after, yes, we know that we have not named all other bad films that has been out. There's Blade and Trinity, there's Daredevil and everything, but we will have this as part 2. There will probably be a part 3 in the future with more bad films that we'll be talking about, because there's also a lot of TV shows that are bad as well. But I know that we don't want to show too long as well, right, James?
Yeah. Yeah, Pedro. I know he's in Fantastic Four too. He in Rise of the Silver Surfer. He shows up at the wedding, and then the first Fantastic Four movie, he's like the mailman, right?
Correct. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, this was a lot of fun. I think it would be fun to do like a part two because, like you said,
Yeah.
Vash, there was some movies that we just didn't talk about, like Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
That
Ooh.
one was horrible. Ghost Rider, the first one I could pass, is enjoyable to an extent, but Spirit of Vengeance, no, that one was horrible.
Yeah, we didn't talk about New Mutants or like Elektra, so that'll be fun. We can do a part two on like a future episode of
Yeah, of
Villains.
course.
We've been going for like 2.5 hours now, and this has been so much fun. Guys in chat, thank you so much for participating in chat and throwing in your ideas and talking to us and listening to me rant about absolutely god awful comic book movies. I swear I could just sit here and just shit on these movies forever, but I'll save that for another episode. Vash, thank you so much for being here with me on episode 2.
Thank you for having. It's always a honor, and I appreciate always for bringing me here, and also for guys so to see a new side of me talking about comic books and also ranting as well, because that's not something I do, because I ranting on the Fantastic Four dog shit movie that I wasted 2 hours of my life watching that I could have watched Hunter x Hunter, like most people like to say, aka Ray, but I will watch that some other time in the future, probably by year 2023.
Yeah, we gave Vash shit about that in chat. It was like, dude, you watched Fan Four Stick before Hunter Hunter, dude. What?
But hey, I helped James to think of a topic for the show, so my failures give people an uprising.
Yes, and I appreciate it. I love this episode. This was so much fun for me to do. Again, I appreciate every single one of you guys that watched the episode. Vash, tell the people where they can find you online.
You can always find me here with James every week on Friday evenings, and also Anime Lady Podcast, Anime Lady Brand, and on Twitter at Legendary Vash as always. And thank you guys for always tuning in and supporting us and subscribing here on the Careful Spoilers channel.
Yeah, you guys know you can follow me right here on the channel. I'm going to be doing some reaction videos and some movie reviews coming up over the weekend. Make sure you guys stay tuned for Villains Episode 3. That's going to be next Friday. Make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram at JB Exclusive. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel if you're not already, because Vash and I are going to be making some fire content coming up in the future with all of the new shows coming out. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much for joining us, and yeah, see you on the next one.